all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raise.
Welcome back, you lovely, lovely people. It's Marvel Rivals Ignite. It's the America playoffs, and we've already got one series done and dusted. It was a 3-0 in favor of the one and only Team Liquid Citadel. But now we go to their biggest rivals, I guess, Vicky, at this point. We've got Swamp Gaming. They're going to be going up against 100 Thieves. Now, I know where I'm leaning. I know where my favorite probably is for this. What about you? Where's your heart at? Or maybe where's your head at?
Welcome to the swamp, man. Leave way, create that eviction notice for Shrek because Swamp Gaming is here to stay. I'm here coming from the swamp myself, actually, with the humidity levels for where I'm from is skyrocketing. But if anything, I know that Swamp Gaming are not sweating a bucket because they feel very locked and loaded. And I'm excited to see how this plays out against 100 Thieves who played fantastic yesterday. I mean, in a very close match versus Stick Drift.
Well, speaking of 100 Thieves, we can take a closer look at them as well. They definitely tried a few different things. We saw a lot of the 3 vanguards from them yesterday in their games, and they did make it work. It was looking a little bit concerning at times. Maybe Stick Drift were going to be able to take them out and into that lower bracket, but they were able to prevail. A fantastic roster who definitely can pose a threat here to Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, with 100 Thieves and what they need to do here, I mean, just off of that series alone, there's a lot to digest, right? In that Game 5 situation, we got to see that TTK mother come alive and go punish her children because seeing TTK back on the Pride and True Emma is chef's kiss, you know? And when it comes to being able to get away with the pick and ban phase and enabling what TTK could bring to the table, I mean, the fact that we're even seeing more Angela in the mix when it comes to a lot more of these MRI matches is just something else to consider depending on which maps are going on to. But I think 100 Thieves does a really good job at also kind of bringing these different compositions when it comes down to the wire.
Yeah, I think 100 Thieves, they demonstrated they had some flexibility as well, and I think they're going to need it against a team like Swamp Gaming, who arguably has even more versatility when it comes to their hero pool. And actually, I'm very excited to see what Swamp Gaming do against a team like 100 Thieves, because it's going to be a very different approach for what they had to do in their first matchup against TSM. This is going to be slightly harder to crack down and break through because 100 Thieves do set up very well defensively when they are able to be in a position where they can actually set up. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know what? If you're talking about the battle between Swamp Gaming and 100 Thieves, it's the battle of the backline. And I know a lot of my Valentina fans in the chat will have a good time with this one. I also, you know, actually ran into Mello on Quick Play. And Mello said, yes, if Vicky's casting, we have a 100% win rate when that happens. Hopefully, though, for 100 Thieves, that curse doesn't act as a double-edged sword against their team. But it's the way that Swamp Gaming also have such a strong backline. We've heard Fox, the coach, even talk about how he believes that every single player on his team is so strong, the strongest, honestly, when it comes to bringing these different comps and being able to adjust on the fly.
To be fair, I think everyone pretty much has an unbeaten record when it comes to casting Swamp Gaming, and they're winning unless you did the finals of preseason playoffs where they lost out initially. But when we look at these two teams, we know that Swamp Gaming are favorites just because of how they've been performing in preseason and also in the group stages. That being said, we cannot count out 100 Thieves. We know what an impressive team they are, full of some legends in their own right, and they will be looking to try and make a statement here. And not only that, but of course, qualify for LAN. That is what is on the line in this matchup as well for this upper bracket. Will Swamp Gaming be able to solidify their place and also book a ticket to compete against TLC in that upper bracket final? Or can 100 Thieves shock the world here and maybe do something that not many would expect? It's certainly not going to be an easy ride for either of these teams, and I think, again, we are in store for quite the game.
Yeah, can they steal it? That's the question, right? Because not only is that land spot up for grabs and getting into that top 3, but you also have to imagine the money on the line here for our playoffs. So can Swamp continue on this domination versus 100 Thieves is the question. It goes down to how that pick and ban phase plays out, as well as what map we'll be moving on to.
Yeah, the lock and ban phase is huge. You heard it from Speedery himself, how important it is in Ignite. If you mess up the lock and ban phase, you can find yourself really struggling. Like, sometimes these games are literally won in lock and ban phase, especially if you get bullied off of some very comfortable heroes for you, or you allow some too meta heroes getting through as well. And I am intrigued how you target Swamp Gaming. You already mentioned it. Their backline is incredible. Do you let them have Gambit? If you don't, are you happy with them switching over to Mantis instead? We already saw what happened when they allowed TLC to do that in the previous, so it becomes very difficult to try and work out how to approach this one.
It is, because you could try to target ban anyway. I mean, Day's also, like, just being a crazy Wolverine. Like, you can't let the Cyclops go through, because then you'll also get the team up. Good luck for the Vanguards, who are going to have to deal with that one, because that goes hand in hand with the strengths of these teams that we keep mentioning, Gaskin. If you look at the top of the top, when you talk about TLC and then Swamp Gaming being in that conversation, it's that flexibility. Now, 100 Thieves having a good amount of time now, going through 8.5, playing that series just yesterday in a very crazy nail-biter. They've had time to make those adjustments and also try to match up with that consistency on their flexibility.
The Burning T'Challa is where we are heading for map 1, and I know full well Swamp Gaming are 3-0 throughout stage 1, and Burning T'Challa has been very kind to them, but they, similarly to TLC, are still undefeated in stage 1 as well. On the other side, for 100 Thieves, we saw them lose Burning T'Challa during group stages, so statistically, we have to favor Swamp Gaming just from what we've seen. That being said, new patch, new meta heroes, different approach here, so we'll have to see out of the gates really who is going to have a better method of approach.
Rubbing my eyes, I'm seeing, believe we got breads going down in the chat. I know a lot of you chatters were excited for that one since yesterday, and now with this gigabanger of a match, we get to take a look at how far this is going to go between Swamp Gaming and 100 Thieves. Our second series, by the way, of the day to kick off day number 2 of our America playoffs.
Well, you said it. When you cast him, he seems to win, as everyone now locking in for the locks and bans. It's a good time to focus, whether it be you as the banner. As Speedery said, he's the one who clicks the button. I've never really thought about that. Who is the one who actually clicks the button, and having that pressure taken away by the coaches of just being like, hey, tell me what to do, please. Certainly, I've seen you in ranked games, Vicky. You make me click the button, and I don't appreciate it. You're like, oh, BRB, I'm just going to get a drink. You can do the bans. I'm like, what? Why are you leaving me?
I said, always, make sure no matter what, Gambit doesn't go through it. If we don't have a crazy Cyclops, and even though the Lord Cyclopses are still prowling about, you do not want to get div. Sometimes I even take that risk, right? You get Cyclops out of here, you get Gambit out of here, and in this case, don't give Valentina Gambit. You'll find out what happens if you do, but this is also a queen who is so good at flexing to any of the strategists. It all comes down here, though, as 100 Thieves have a mountain to climb, and after their performance just yesterday, we have to put an emphasis once again onto TTK's performance, because it's been very enjoyable to watch. Even against the controller strategist from the other end as on Stick Drift, and then being a controller legend himself, TTK. But there you go, no Mantis, and from both ends, well, 100 Thieves do manage to protect that Gambit.
Something made him giggle as well for Scato, so we'll have to see what is coming in the lock-in bans. Perhaps there's something that surprised us. But yeah, I was thinking coming into this one, it was going to be fairly default for both teams in terms of how the meta's been going for lock-in bans, and that is evident just from the first 4. Swamp Gaming removing 2 of the best heroes that you could possibly have, and they will lock down said Gambit.
All right, you'll let Valentina roll out with this one, but Valentina also being, like, what, the number 1, like Luna, too, that we've actually been able to see climb through ladder, and being able to have that team up goes crazy here. But the Gambit is going to be the priority, which is why you proc the double Rogue ban here, too. You not want to be able to give Rogue that buff, but then you also have to consider Magneto in the mix, with the Daredevil being the next ban for 100 Thieves. Swamp Gaming recognize the situation. They see that Gambit, they want to take that off, and the Wolverine Protect. We just highlighted Days in this, Gaskin.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very different bans coming through from both. The Daredevil to try and remove some of the things Swamp Gaming are very good at, and also Cyclops, it removes what 100 Thieves are very good at in terms of how they play kind of front to back, differing to the dive approach that we sometimes see from Swamp Gaming as well. And 100 Thieves also remove Captain America after seeing the Wolverine Protect. So this is going to be 2 entirely different strategies, and actually 100 Thieves protecting the Daredevil. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I like the fact that Swamp Gaming were able to quickly retaliate, because as you already mentioned, like, you get the protect on the Wolverine because you see the target band here on today's having a crazy Daredevil, but having the Wolverine comes in clutch, and the fact that you're able to ban out the Cyclops while still having Cyclops available means that you will have that team up, because that wasn't a priority for 100 Thieves since they wanted to ban out the Captain America, as the Angela is the next to go. And I do like this decision when you go on to Burning T'Challa, because very similarly to what we just witnessed on Sparta Islands in our previous series, you still have that verticality to display and be a thorn on the side of the opposition.
Giving Swamp Gaming Cyclops and Wolverine. Interesting. Let's see how it pans out. And let's see whether they actually go for it. At the moment, the hover is going to be on both of those. So this could be a difficult task for 100 Thieves, but also they clearly came in with a game plan here. And with the ban on Captain America, perhaps they feel like they can utilize their own vanguards to bully a little bit. At the moment, hovering Captain America and Thing. And you were already singing the praises of TTK. And what's funny is I remember in preseason, Reddit threads were kind of like, you know, TTK, he doesn't have enough of a deep hero pool in terms of vanguards. He can only play a couple. He's actually shown that now moving over to Emma, or regardless what he's forced onto, he always finds a way. So it has been impressive to see the bounce back from TTK.
I'm not going to take the bait, because when we're talking about, like, buffs going into 8.5, the fact that, like, Blade just continues to be a Titan is also scary. But I'm thinking the change is going to happen, absolutely. Don't get me excited. But you get the fastball special, which they get to yeet out the Wolverines here from both ends. And Valentina Eve, they give Valentina the Loki. So actually swapping off the Gambit, letting Forky Dog take that helm, while Daze being able to stick onto that Wolverine. TTK already getting into position here with 100 Thieves just trying to set up.
Show me what you can do on Thing, but going up against Wolverine plus Cyclops might not be too fun for you as Daze already gets involved straight away, and 100 Thieves have already lost one. It's going to be advantage Swamp Gaming already here on this first point.
Daze, the helicopter before trying to find a victim in the backline, but that's why you see the Thing, right? Just fully expecting the Wolverine after seeing that protect. You do not want to get kidnapped if you are trying to defend the front line from the vanguards here. Self too, as Kraz and Daze are just gonna quickly jump down before getting a nice yeet on the Luna and getting the quick freeze. But talk about that bubble, and he gets the health back to add. He is surviving by the glimpse of his health before going back to his strategist to heal him up.
I was about to say, the
anymore.
fact that Daze has survived that long it just shouldn't happen. So I'm thankful that eventually someone was able to shut him down. As now, Swamp Gaming are on the back foot. 100 Thieves able to stabilize a little bit and get that first pick, but still scoring RSG at the moment. 100 Thieves need to find a way to break. They're almost at Raging Royal Flush.
This is great for 100 Thieves. The fact that they were able to get that first pick too before Swamp Gaming were really able to boost up into these Ultimate Smatter Scatter, who had put down the Banhammer originally, but 100 Thieves break away and open the door for themselves to retake this point. And you talked about the Raging Royal Flush that is ready for them to get with Delena and the Kraken Impact for the next fight.
This is often when 100 Thieves are at their very best, though, when they can set up like this and now put their structure into place and deny SG. But the Ruby Rage comes out. Can you get the damage? Can you get the first pick?
Oh man, TTK got deleted. Put him in the microwave here. Armed and Dangerous as Delena gets a reset off the Kraken Impact onto Valentina. And that was when Valentina was still in the Gambit, but it was the very end of the Ranger Royal Flush. As you see the Ranger Royal Flush coming in and a huge ante as nobody is looking at Mello from the back line. It's going to be able to clean up another 3 real quick, making 4 to follow from Forky Dog as they reclaim the point.
The schmovement from Mello as well. That is a man who is well versed at playing on Cyclops, knew exactly how he was going to get from point A to point B to shut down the back line. And SG now regain the point up to 50% as 100 Thieves will have to break again. They do have Freedom Charge. They've got Fate of Both Worlds to work with, so that is 2 essential support ults in a way. So we'll have to see whether they can just use them off the back of maybe a response from SG.
I'm scared. Daze is looking to be on the prowl. Kraz gonna yeet him over from the back end while Mello once again isolates and finds Self, shutting down, even letting the Devil out as an opportunity and wasting away of the Freedom Charge that Vinny initiates with.
Daze again looking to try and be a terror here on the Wolverine as well, just waiting, biding his time, but the rest of the team are doing the job for him, forcing everyone back, and now he can get involved, and it forces out the Fate of Both Worlds here from 100 Thieves.
To get me out of here, but Kraz isn't gonna give up his space against 100 Thieves, even if they forced out Millennia, and the Fate of Both Worlds is able to reposition, get away with his life before getting back to the point. Scatter then finds Vinny, who is not having the best of times. Time is of the essence for 100 Thieves to contest on this point, and Daze is back in the lovely hands of Kraz.
Throws him in like a bowling ball, rolls him, can he knock him down? Well, Kraz will do it himself. We go into overtime, but 100 Thieves are going to have to try and resort to a portal here at this point. They've already lost 2. Overtime ticks away, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to get that touch. So first round goes to Swamp Gaming in the end. And you have to look at the Hulk play, by the way. The amount of attention that he drew away from 100 Thieves' plan, and it stalled out, it gave them so much time, and still escaped.
He built a house right outside that choke and said this is the eviction notice before you could even get through here because Daze was helping him serve up that letter. And unfortunate for Self, he couldn't even get to play the game. Like the fact that he has 2.5k damage, right, when they were going a little back and forth from the very start. Self just holding on to letting the devil out for so long, but every single time you said it's like a bowling ball will hit the strike over him time and time again. If it wasn't with the fastball special, it was just with the Wolverine grab itself. And it's difficult. Now, as you take a look at the ult economy going into this next round and what Swamp Gaming are about to have with Valentina Eve having the Rage and Royal Flush first.
Melo just has too much freedom at the moment as well, with the space that's being created by Dace and the Vanguards as well. It's so difficult for 100 Thieves to kind of break that down at the moment because they are just being constantly forced back. And then with Dace having the option of kidnapping as well, they are constantly living in fear at the same time. But all the meanwhile, Melo is just shooting from a distance and applying more and more damage as he goes.
Sharpening those adamantium claws here. Ruby Rage now coming in, but TTK is literally one shot. At least you get the BRB from Millennia, and after you let the devil out, you try to control more of this space, but not finding the marks as Forky Dog does fall incredibly low. Manages to stay alive, by the way, thanks to Valentina Eve. Forky Dog holding onto this Rage and Royal Flush as well. This means that he's forced to use it first before Valentina in this moment, but it's fine. They'll have a second one here. You have clobbering time, finding 3, goes big, but no follow-up. Unfortunate, as the Rage and Royal Flush is still that threat. Just trying to put a stall to it, and the fact that you still have Kraz, who is dominating the lobby against 100 Thieves and controlling so much space being the threat.
They didn't really have the presence to capitalize off of clobbering time there. Like, sure, you get the stuns, but there wasn't enough damage to actually get any picks in the end. And it wasn't really in a response to stop anything from Swamp Gaming either. So that one's not really going to feel too great for 100 Thieves, as now they already fall behind by 20%. SG have a far better ult economy that they've built up. On the side of 100 Thieves, they are going to have Galactic Legend and shortly Seer as well. So that's the wombo combo they want to try and break here.
The win con, as you mentioned, but with the Rage and Royal Flush, it's got to be get ready, set, go to try to deal with. The Exile! Wasting time away from the Galactic Legend. Everybody from Swamp tries to cut away, plays behind the pillar, but it still calls out Kraz. Now you have the Banhammer to follow up right afterwards, as Valentina Eve is done with the Rage and Royal Flush copy, goes back over to the form of the Loki, and Vinny could keep this stall going with the Freedom Charge. But currently, with the way that 100 Thieves are now trying to retake the point, Swamp Gaming are not letting loose. They finally flip it over, 50%, after Daze goes all the way up and comes crashing down in the lovely hands of his strategist to get away.
Just so much time gathered already by Swamp Gaming, though, and it means if they can now build up this ult economy, they wait, they're patient, they get the break. They might just be able to build up another 50 to win this entire map right here after the next attack. So 100 Thieves have to set up successfully. Self on the Daredevil, very close to let the Devil out as well, so he can make a big impact if he can get behind and maybe catch out Forky or Valentina. But that's easier said than done with how well they play around their Vanguards.
Oh, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Daze now, and you're assembling a troop. Another Exile, by the way. The back-to-back is insane from Kraz. Now you get nice little anti. Valentina now coming up out of the gates with the rest of her team. Another kidnap now from Daze. What Freedom Charge as he puts holes through the cave, and Scatter now finds Vinny. Now you have the Rage and Royal Flush who let the devil out. Forky Dog is ready, but unfortunate for Valentina Eve, cannot stay alive. The number advantage in favor for 100 Thieves. I love the swap up after the thing from TTK over to the Emma. You get the boost over to the 100% beam on each Loki. You enable Self, and you have the diamond form to help enable yourself to prevent yourself from getting kidnapped by Daze.
Yeah, the thing wasn't working for 100 Thieves, and also TTK on Emma. We've already seen how impressive he can be, so I like the switch at the same time. And now in terms of ults, they do have Galactic Legend and very shortly Sia again for 100 Thieves, so they have turned this one around. SG on the back foot a little bit here. They need to try and find a way to puncture through these Vanguards and try and find some of these backliners that are getting away with murder right now.
That was big, though. They just forced out the diamond form. So Daze knows he's got the green light. Does the team up together with the Cyclops, gets the kid up on TTK because he has no protection here. And that was the win con right here, too. But you have the Galactic Legend, you have the Banhammer still on Delena. And at least with the Sia, he gets to stay alive, and it forces Swamp Gaming to give more time away to 100 Thieves.
That being said, Galactic Legend and Sia were used, but you need to get there on the touch. 2% left. Someone has to jump onto it. Melo does just about get there. Literally puts his body on the line. But now you are going to be down a player, and you're going to have to try and utilize this portal, which they do get out here. So Swamp Gaming still giving this a chance.
Scatter playing a different game too, bouncing on their foreheads real quick while utilizing the portal as some extra protection. Kraz has been landing these exiles, jumps back to the team, puts the bubble, gets the copy here from Valentina, and with the Rage and Royal Flush, they delete the BRB. Big cooldown at that, and they won't be able to come back with TTK forcibly swapping over to the thing. They give the point back over to Swamp Gaming, but it's this back and forth. When you get baited out to use your diamond form, you go back over to the thing so you do not get kidnapped the way that we just saw.
Of course, that does change the setup slightly. It means there's going to be 3 Vanguards for Swamp Gaming as it stands, but Daze has been very close to building up the Eye of Agamotto going into this next fight, so I imagine Daze is going to try and stay alive, get that ult popped, allow Mello to do some damage off the back of it, and then maybe switch if he does go down.
Coming through here with Scatter, being able to try to hold this choke. Rage and Royal Clutch is that win con that we were talking about before. Daze does have the Eye of Agamotto, and with Self going down, he's been focused as Mello gets that follow-up. They forces 100 Thieves to back away for now, and you have to imagine, with time being of the essence, do they manage to try to recontest here? Because you're now nearing 90% in favor for Swamp Gaming.
Oh, we've got Eye of Agamotto into Ruby Rage here for SG, and this might be curtains for 100 Thieves if they are too clustered, as now the Eye does come out. Is there a stun to deny it? You will see. Now you're going to have the chance to get that Ruby Rage, and you do get a lot of damage off the back of it.
And a huge first pick onto Millennium means that you will not have a BRB, but Delena not going down without a fight. Finding one, it's going to be a slight trade-off now with Valentina going into, but they lost out on the point. All eyes on the point as 100 Thieves actually flipped this back in their favor. They had the portal play, something that Swamp Gaming do not have after they just used it. And 100 Thieves, they steal it right underneath Swamp Gaming's feet to take this to round number 3.
Unbelievable from 100 Thieves as well. It felt like they had no right with the ult economy that we saw from SG. But also, when you do get that switch over onto Strange, it does change the dynamic of your composition quite a lot, having the 3 Vanguards as well. You lose out on some of that extra damage from your duelist after the switch from Daze. 100 Thieves take advantage of it. They are able to puncture and take down some of those strategists. Great play from the Daredevil as well, being able to do so. So, Self, hats off to you. It takes us to 1-1.
Also, the fact that they weren't able to get any follow-up. You were mentioning it just leading up to that fight. The Eye of Agamotto into a possible combo and just getting shut down was even bigger when the way that 100 Thieves played that final fight was so split up. And now you're looking at this next round, Gaskin. You have Delena, that's a Galactic Legend, and Millennia is right around the corner with the Sia.
Well, this one just got interesting. I mean, we had a 2-1 in the first matchup with TLC against Yeah We Lost. And now we're going all the way to the 3rd round here in this first map between these 2 giants as well. 100 Thieves not rolling over and showing their belly to Swamp Gaming instead. They are definitely showing they are up to the task here. Delena is going to have the Galactic Legend to kick us off here as well. The first ult that is going to be available in this fight.
See how the Delena now works around this middle console here. Just trying to delete these Loki clones as Valentina's looking to get set up. You have the Sia, you have the Galactic Legend, but they're waiting to pull the button here as Mission Area unlocks now. They break that middle console, they open up the side rooms too, just to help also to enable Millennia, who could put that BRB over to the side, and anti onto TTK, who goes right back over to the Emma, and Delena noting where the threats are. You have the Sia, and get ready with the Galactic Legend as Scatter puts the Banhammer, not this time onto Delena, of course, as you get the backup, but a crazy Exile, just trying to delay the inevitable. Thankfully, though, for Swamp Gaming, they have the walls right there just to kite away from the oppression of the Galactic Legend. And Daze committing crimes in the backline, getting the kidnap onto Delena.
God of Mischief does get the copy onto the Rage and Royal Flush as well for SG, so they slightly had an advantage going into that one, but they were able to escape 100 Thieves temporarily, but now they'll get caught out on the retreat with Self and Delena going down. SG will win this engagement, SG will get the first point, and 100 Thieves are just scattering away here, trying to regroup and regain.
Scatter's been putting in the work, man. It's so crazy here. I mean, I'm not surprised it's Scatter here, especially when he's on that ban pool. Getting these level ups little by little over the dead bodies of 100 Thieves. CTK does have that Psionic Seduction, though, as Swamp Gaming are going to be banking on Forky Dog having that Rage and Roll Flush.
Hello doing some damage as well. A lot of damage on this Cyclops. He's certainly been difficult to deal with, but that being said, if you can remove his support from him, suddenly it becomes a little bit more difficult to stay alive, as now TTK will use that Psionic Seduction to get right in the face here of SG.
Oh no! The strategist just got jumped, and that was beautiful awareness and focus fire from 100 Thieves. Now you get dove, unfortunately, because you already used your diamond form. Winnie is just trying to back away to stay alive. But Daze, he's the assassin here before they finally take him out. And Swamp Gaming at least got to 45%, but 100 Thieves flipped it right back over like the second round.
That is the perfect plan, though, with the Psionic Seduction, right? Just remove the ability to heal and just make them unable to do anything really and jump them, as you said. And now 100 Thieves will regain at this point up to 15%. SG did put a good amount on the board, and SG do have a good ult economy, and they're going to be the first ones to pop the Raging Royal Flush, but Let the Devil Out is there in response.
Trying to get in together with the Exile. Focus down on Millennial being on the rocket. Huge anti, by the way. Hits itself onto 4, but with the Sia out now, the Freedom Card, the stall is there. The Galactic Legend, you activate World Breaker here from Kraz. They put the Banhammer over onto the forehead and the Focus Fire onto Delena. They're not letting him get away this time around, but the BRB does bring him back into the action, but they lose out on Self, so he won't be able to get resurrected. And now with the Cyclops just getting away with things, you have the team up of the Rocket, as well as the recall from the Star-Lord.
There was fights happening on either side of the map, but in the end, 100 Thieves look like they are coming out on top here, unless Mello can just find this final hit, but he can't. The resurrection was too good from the BRB, which gave 100 Thieves such a significant advantage here. Rocket Raccoon proving his weight in gold here at this point.
Oh, the pull-in, hold on real quick. Oh, they punish him. That was beautiful from Self, shutting down Daze. He's had enough. Not gonna be able to just dive down here for free. The lamps are already used up, and Cyano's Seduction now comes afterwards. You see Scatter putting down that bubble right after, too, but they're playing around the wall of the corner, trying to move up because they're nearing 80%. Valentina gets a Raging Royal Flush in the form of the God of Mischief, and it's Get Ready as Winnie retaliates back. But Valentina Eve with a quick little 2K sends Swamp Gaming in the driver's seat with having the number advantage.
Insane response from Swamp Gaming after the Psionic Seduction. You thought 100 Thieves were going to be able to bully them back, get a couple of picks. Although meanwhile, 100 Thieves are still scoring, but SG should win this engagement and should get the flip, unless 100 Thieves are going to be able to dash on and stop this one, but they've got time to sit and wait here. They've already got to 99%. They will give up the point as SG now cross 50%. So we just need one break here from 100 Thieves to not just win this round, but win this map.
It's gonna be the win con that we keep seeing. This time, is it gonna be Millennia with the Sia? Do you want to wait for Deleno? By the way, who gets stunned? Oh my gosh! Mello gets the follow-up right afterwards. Kraz has just been so on point too, as well as Daze, and getting these kidnaps on top of the Exile. Jumps right to the side of Daze to get those bubbles out, and Self is on the prowl. Here you go, just jumping down a nice little stall though, but not finding a single person. The bubble does save his life, while Self is waiting to let the devil out.
CEO is available for 100 Thieves, which is going to be a key factor for this next push, but SG do have things to deal with it. Freedom Charge is going to open us up, though. Raging Royal Flush comes in as a response, and Self trying to pop off on the Daredevil at the moment, but it's Valentina who gets the opener. There's the Sia that comes in alongside Galactic Legend, as Delena gets 2.
Talk about the placement, by the way, of the Sia originally. Sure, they shut down Millennia, but you won't have that BRB, but you've lost out on 3. This forces Mello to swap over to the Doctor Strange to get the portal play. Overtime, taken away. 99 to 99, and Delena and Scatter, they even out the match. But with Mello having the portal play, Winnie's gonna try to match that Self. Find Scatter, big pick off to prevent the stall that Kraz is doing.
We will see the portal on both sides as well. Is it going to get a neutral brawl? No ultimates available for either team. We are ticking heavily into overtime. Valentina very close to being able to get the ult, by the way. God of Mischief could turn into a Raging Royal Flush, which may just turn the tides here for Swamp Gaming.
And with the portals already used, there you go. Raging Royal Flush, you do not mark down Valentina Eve. This is the win con that Swamp Gaming need to capitalize off of. But 100 Thieves are playing so split up. Daze at least finds winning in the process. But where is the rest of 100 Thieves? They let Swamp Gaming flip it for now before trying to go in for a re-engage. But they're looking to play around the other side of the wall. Same thing here if you're looking at TTK, who made the swap over the Rocket. It was too little here, just so that way they can get that BRB. A huge anti though, finding 2, but it doesn't cost Self life just yet.
Sia's about to come up. Sia gets put down, but 2 just fell. Swamp Gaming get the first 2. There's a lot of responsibility for Delena off the back of that damage boost, but I don't think it's going to be enough here now for SG as they find their 4th and 100 Thieves down to just rags and pieces. And it looks like Swamp Gaming bully them off the point, and Swamp Gaming will hold and win map 1.
Whew. With Daze having the last stand by the very end, having the last stand off versus 100 Thieves in a very close, intense final round to open up our first map, Gaskin, of our second series.
Just incredible work from Swamp Gaming. 100 Thieves, I'm sure they're going to be kicking themselves with that last fight as well. But it was the build-up on the Loki to be able to get that Raging Royal Flush that really kicked things off for Swamp Gaming. They survive. They continue to be undefeated. Will they continue to be undefeated going into map 2? There's only one way to find out. Let's go to a quick break, but when we come back, map 2 between Swamp Gaming and 100 Thieves.
쓰러지는 마법인 거야 운명의 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작해야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸는 순간 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 마 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 잘 춤을 춰봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 어둠이 떠날 때까지 세계 운명 오랜 시간 간직해온 열망 까만 밤의 빛처럼 빛나 네 눈앞에 바로 어떤 나라 탑을 딱 봐도 superstar 딱 보면 모두 나널 지킬 나란 걸 지켜볼수록 점점 빠져들어 카리스마 넘쳐 흘러 oh yeah 운명의 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 달빛이 날 비춰와 시작이야 let's go 어둡고 흘러는 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸는 순간 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 마 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 잘 춤을 춰봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 그 세계 운명 눈이 부신 모든 순간들 지켜내야 해 내게 주어지는 면 꿈꿨던 너와 나 그래 그래 승리 완명해 The fate of it both the world is in our hands 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 잘 춤을 춰봐 어둠이 떠날 때까지 정오의 시간
I outnumber you. Your powers are mine!
Assemble! Sorry, soldier.
Tides will rise and fall. Be the unwavering force that refuses to wash away. Remember, guys, the Captain America Seaside Sentinel, the Loki Seaside Siren, and White Fox's Coastal Kumiho costumes are in game now, July 2nd, all the way through to July 1st. Maybe you can get July 31st, excuse me. Maybe you can get better luck popping your balloons than Vicky did. I'm going to try later,
Wow.
and I think I'm going to get it done in 2 to make sure I don't go all the way down to the last one like you did, Vic. But Yeah, these are your chances to get some more swimsuit skins, and I think there might be even more coming, because it did say this was just wave 1. Now, as we move back into our matchup, of course, we are amidst quite the game between 100 Thieves and Swamp Gaming. Now, it may say the Swamp Gaming won that one, but it was bloomin' close. 100 Thieves were just, what, 1 ult away, Vicky, from actually taking that game themselves.
Dude, that is literally what happens when you allow Loki Gambit to get through. Like, the fact that you have 2 Raging Royal Flushes, the fact that Valentina stayed alive to get that at the end, it didn't matter because by the time that TTK, who had to swap over the rocket because they had to Doctor Strange portal to get back up to the point, had Sia, the rest of his team was already blown up because that combo is just so powerful for all the right reasons. But we got to talk about the MVP because we highlighted Scatter before, not only with those bubble placements, but the damage output on the Vanpool, man.
Just so much as well. I love watching a good Vanpool in play because that is your job, right? You've got the pistols, you are expected to put out a lot of damage. It's about what you do with that damage. You're not just like hopelessly emptying mags into vanguards, right? You're trying to actually separate and segregate the backline, maybe try and pick one of them off, maybe take a duelist out of the equation as well. And Scatter was doing that so successfully throughout that game. And yeah, Swamp Gaming, it was certainly close, but they do get the job done in the end. And I'm sure they'll be relieved because going into the next, they probably would have been a little bit frustrated had they not taken advantage of the Loki plus Gambit combo. As we look at the stats throughout the entire game. And boy, was it a close one. Very impressed with what 100 Thieves were able to do in that one, Vicky.
Yeah, and it was very stressful. Like, even looking at the player cams for Swamp Gaming, like, Valentina, she's taking a huge deep breath, just laying flattened on her seat, and then you take a look at the stats across, because it was literally that one instance that could have determined everything on how the start of the series was going to progress. Swamp Gaming, though, coming out on top, Scatter popping off. They had days there, having TTK play hero roulette, basically, and wanting to switch over to the Emma. You know you really wanted it, but then having to go back over to the Thing once that diamond form was baited out. But the way that they were also able to shut down Self for the majority part of that game was difficult. I mean, the fact that you still have the threat of Delena, who is hailing from above your foreheads with the Galactic Legend together with that of the Sia, was a big threat. But when you go to that final round on Burn and T'Challa, you at least have those side walls to play off of once they are up and try to kite away, which we did see a few times. And other times, a cheeky little position shot from the Sia could have determined everything on how 100 Thieves could have actually swayed that game in their favor.
What's also insane is if you look at like the first point each time, Swamp Gaming being able to take 100 Thieves down and put a serious amount of percentage on the board as well in their favor. 100 Thieves can like kind of negate that. It looks a very different game with not having to play catch up for half the round. That being said, 100 Thieves still did get one round on the board, and they have shown us that this isn't going to be an easy game for Swamp Gaming whatsoever. I think when a lot of people looked at this upper bracket and looked at these two matchups, they were like, okay, yeah, so we're going to see a 3-0 from TLC, a 3-0 from Swamp Gaming. And by all means, we may still end up there, but at least we are seeing 100 Thieves taking this all the way, and I really hope they put some maps on the board.
I agree, and it depends on what's the second map looking like, because the last time these two teams face off against each other, this is the big difference between best of 5 and best of 3s, where, you know, there's very little room for error in general, right? But in a best of 3, even shorter, and Valentina getting locked in with her little gator right behind her. But it ended up being a 2-0, right? Where that second map was a lot closer than the Dom map, where it was Burn and T'Challa, where Swamp Gaming won that dominant 2-0 fashion, which is a very different case if you're looking at the results alone after that first map. Now, the fact that they're not trying to run that back to symbiotic surface is a testament to how 100 Thieves have been able to adapt, because we are going on to America's stream sponsored by Museum of Contemplation. Surprise, surprise. We get the back-to-back Gaskin after our previous series.
Museum of Contemplation! Who would have thought? Well, bad news, I guess, for fans of 100 Thieves. Swamp Gaming are 3-0 on Museum of Contemplation. Good news for 100 Thieves fans is 100 Thieves are 2-1 on Museum of Contemplation. So this is a good map for both. They are both very comfortable. Not really surprised that we have ended up here. 100 Thieves feel like with the strategy they are employing at the moment, they can actually take Swamp Gaming all the way here. And this could be an interesting one in terms of how 100 Thieves line up. If you look at their convoy, their convergence yesterday, a lot of the triple Vanguard they were running out as well. Will they go for something similar? If they do, how does Swamp Gaming counter that? The lock and ban phase probably is going to be pretty similar to what we saw previously. Mantises get taken away to start with, and then the Gambit's probably coming out to be protected.
Yeah, no surprise there when it comes to making sure that Mantis is the prio ban. Immediately getting a little hot in the room here, as you can see the fans on as well, but it's going to be Cyclops that does get banned following right after that. Taking note on how often we've seen MOC, a lot of these teams just trying to shake things up. I believe, what was it, like the last time that we saw 100 Thieves, the reason why they did drop Museum once was against Sentinels, and that was because Dogman rolled out on the Penny with some Penny shenanigans that really started kicking off more attention to that Vanguard, as the Rogue is going to be the next ban, because you do not want to get that team up. But this also opens the floor. Does this proc a Loki ban too?
Yeah, there was a lot of surprises there, and I think that's what's been interesting with it being group stages into now, with the time we've had as well in 8.5 for people to practice leading up. There's not as many surprises for these teams when they get into these games, unlike before when we were having games like instantly after a patch, for example, where they were caught off guard a little bit. As you will see, 100 Thieves take Wolverine away from Swamp Gaming this time. They do not want to allow there to be the Cyclops plus the Wolverine. That makes sense. But that does now open up Swamp Gaming on the Daredevil, and they're going to have the single Daredevil instead, and we know how this one could play out.
Especially on this map, right? Enabling a dive opposition to and getting the information that the Daredevil brings out, which they banned out, so 100 Thieves won't be able to match that too from self. But then you have the protection because they need to at least have one protect when it comes to enabling days. As they hover over what this final protect is going to be, I do like being able to ban out the rocket. You won't have that BRB since Swamp is starting things off on the defensive side of things, and the Angela getting protected. I haven't seen this one before.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that there was play yesterday where I think they were a little bit worried about TTK on Angela, and perhaps there is a similar thought here that maybe we protect her because the ban had come through previously from Swamp Gaming, and Swamp Gaming will now remove the rocket. So no BRBs, no Seers going into this map too, so it's all going to be about that first life. You're going to have to respawn like normal, like the rest of us.
I was being sarcastic too. The fact that we've been seeing TTK also just have that flexibility, like you've highlighted, like just being able to also have that on the table for TTK if he does so happen to make that swap up, if he gets off of Mother herself. But I like what I'm seeing with the adjustments on this pick and ban phase and the answer back that we have for both these teams, because currently Swamp Gaming, it wasn't easy, but they took that first map, setting them up here to see how MOC is going to play out with 100 Thieves. Again, no surprise here if TTK does roll out with that Angela. You have a lot more of that verticality to play with too, as well as harassing that backline, just so that way you can try to bait out those lamps very early.
They have still allowed Gambit and Loki to get through, so SG are still going to be very difficult to deal with. Valentina on Loki yet again. You've got Mello still being able to play the Cyclops as well, but considering how close 100 Thieves were to taking them down in that first game, perhaps they are not as scared as maybe some think they should be. But I'm excited for this one. Museum of Contemplation always provides us with some entertainment, especially this first point as well, because it is very hectic trying to get out of this first initial route.
Difficult when it comes to this choke. Oh my goodness, the damage output you're already seeing from Mello, by the way, on the Cyclops, before Self gets into position here. But remember, they have the Daredevil, so they will be able to call out Self's positioning thanks to Daze. Little stun onto Mello, but it's just going to be the slow climb as 100 Thieves try to claw their way into repositioning and split the focus of Swamp Gaming.
Another man looking to see if he can maybe catch anyone off guard as well, just trying to create a little bit of space for the rest of the squad. But now here comes TTK to try and see if he can find anyone to just remove from their position.
Already backing away and taking a good chunk of that damage Self as well before Daze finds an opportunity to get the jump before getting Shish Kebab, then followed up by Delena. Gonna shut that down onto Daze. That's a great awareness too between TTK and Delena. Gonna be able to go hand in hand, and finding Kraz following up right afterwards. So now Scatter just trying to create some space. Does have that Banhammer activated, ready to go. But it's gonna be 100 Thieves that control the majority of the space, waiting for Swamp Gaming to regroup here because they're not trying to overcommit.
Yeah, it's a great breakout of that initial point that I said sometimes can be quite difficult, but SG will have the chance to recontest this one before they get to the first point to 100 Thieves. And it is going to be eyes on TTK and how you try and plan this one, to be honest. At the moment, SG are very much aware, but see you later, maybe. No, sir. The little bounce back onto the map is absolutely fine.
Donk, as you can hear too, as Daze is going to be able to find it, but Millennia answers right back with the clip from Luna, with Scatter still holding on to that Banhammer. The fact that Swamp Gaming were able to stop for as long as possible to bring Kraz right back. Being on the group himself, you have to imagine how scary having the wombo combo of a Strangling Prison and a Ruby Rage is going to look.
And the Ruby Rage is there, but now you're going to see Raging Royal Flush is going to come out in response here. But now cracking impact from Delena also to try and impact some damage, and he does so. Scatter Genji with full, and again we go here.
And you're forced to use a Raging Royal Flush in the form of the God of Mischief instead because of Kraken Impact. It does get the reset, but Millennia was ready. Strangling Prison, though, doesn't land on Delena before he comes crashing down again and again on repeat. One last victim before he gets the next reset, and Winnie just taking that away from him real quick here, too. But it's all about a statement for 100 Thieves to clear this first checkpoint.
So what we've learned today is Winter Soldier and Museum of Contemplation seem to go hand in hand. Very important, but the ball does come out for Swamp Gaming here, and Daze does have Let the Devil Out, but he's not going to be able to even release it because TTK bullies him.
That was really smart, though, for Valentin to come out on the invis because you will be able to pull back the Angela, especially if you're going in for a last-minute contest, which, by the way, they have yet to get that first checkpoint just yet, but they are up in numbers. The stall is still happening while TTK is side-questing, doing a 1v2 real quick against Mello while Millennia cleans up the rest.
100 Thieves do get that first point whilst they were able to force them away from it as well. Mello says, see you later off the map. But I think it was just a valiant effort to try and stop them in the end. So 100 Thieves make short work of that first point. And now they have 3 minutes 25 to try and get towards this second. Will we see a little bit of consideration from SG? Scatter is going to move over to the Angela himself just to try and compete with the ship presence that we've seen from TTK.
Taken to the skies as it looks a little congested here. You can hear the wings flying about, looking for the next prey. You could talk about it like it's a nature documentary, honestly, with the way that TTK and Scatter are now going to try to match each other. Heaven's Retribution is online here, at least for TTK, with the way that Scatter's just trying to split that attention. Daze finally does let the devil out. Now tries to go in for the dime opportunity, gets a 3K. Heaven's Retribution trying to put a leash to hold back Daze, but it doesn't even matter as the rest of 100 Thieves falter.
Yeah, that's good work from SG, and they do it without having to utilize Ruby Rage or the God of Mischief as well. So they're going to have Raging Royal Flush, Ruby Rage, and the God of Mischief very shortly are Swamp Gaming. But on the other side, 100 Thieves are also going to have their own Raging Royal Flush to work with. Not to mention Kraken Impact, and we already saw what Delena can do on that Bucky if presented with that opportunity. So SG just need to be careful not to clump together, and also don't allow yourself to get too weak so that Kraken Impact can have said impact.
Exactly, and that's going to be the win con right now, with Daze going to be able to have the match with the Raging Royal Flush, this time from Delena, looking to get the reset, Strangling Prison. That's what I wanted to see from Kraz. Unfortunately, he had missed the first time right before the first checkpoint, but he brings it back together. He regroups the rest of Swamp Gaming, and now they're holding forward against 100 Thieves who are stuck by the spawn room gates.
Valentina is still going to have God of Mischief available for the next engagement as well. Very well planned out by Swamp Gaming, whereas 100 Thieves, they used what they could. At least they're going to have Fate of Both Worlds when they come up off of spawn as a response, but is it even going to be enough will be the real question here. 1 minute 43 left on the clock as now Delena again trying to force back on this Bucky. Can you get a grab on anyone to really swing the fight in your favor?
Just about building up into that next Kraken Impact, and it's scary when you do have that Loki, right? So you get the free resets off the clones alone, and Delena finding Scatter, so no Heaven's Retribution, you have the Raging Royal Flush, and you have the answer, but the Anti actually putting a halt to it, putting in extra pressure onto 3. No follow-up afterwards because they're just waiting out on Millennia to finish the Fate of Both Worlds, and Delena being the threat over to the side while Self now swapped over to the Wolverine. Heaven's Retribution after Scatter comes right back, needs a follow-up though, and a beautiful Purify too, as you can see the double Anti. Great work here from the other side of Winnie, who will have the Raging Royal Flush, and it's hasta la vista to Daze as he falls down to his death.
Last stand's going to be available, but Self goes down, as now we're going to see Raging Royal Flush got to be popped as the last resort here from 100 Thieves to try and break through on this fight. It's very back and forth at the moment. No one really able to take control. Maybe finally through Delena yet again, and there's Kraken Impact as he does absolutely abolish them. And now we'll see 100 Thieves will be able to take this one and push towards the point.
And look at the reset. That's why. That's what we keep talking about. We mention it time and time again. It's important to note because he gets a free one off Valentina's clone. Again, who's going to be the next victim? They're just waiting it out. Now they're going to be able to now engage. And Forky Dog starts it off with the Raging Royal Flush. They try to go in here. You let the devil out. And you have the Heaven's Retribution from TTK just to stop himself. Also, just diving down with that Wolverine ultimate, and Daze getting information before trying to dive in. A huge anti after Delena, but they lose out on the Psylocke. TTK, though, doesn't go down without a fight, but they have no sustain. In less than 5 seconds, nobody's left from 100 Thieves unless Self can portal in.
They do get the touch, so that is going to give them a little bit of a chance. Self is now creating said portal. Can you get there in time? Great work from the observers to give us a little picture-in-picture, and it is just about going to be there, but Mello will take that one. Forky denies the second. and SG will hold 100 Thieves to just the 1 point.
It's really hard to see, usually, Museum of Contemplation go the distance. It's been like the back-to-back where we see these teams being held right before that second checkpoint, and it gets difficult too when you are forced back into your spawn room gates before that payload gets around that middle console corner. And now we get to see the back and forth and how you're going to be able to actually extend on this. Swamp Gaming making the adjustments that they needed, especially trying to take that fight to TTK, who got a little cheeky in finding days off the map even at some points here, but it's going to be the retaliation on how Kraz was able to also punish that Kraken impact from resetting.
So we are going to see the 3-3 setup for 100 Thieves by the looks of it. This is what we witnessed yesterday as well. Going for the triple Vanguard, the triple Strategist to try and defend here against Swamp Gaming. How are you feeling, Vicky? Do you think that 100 Thieves can hold this one? I mean, they got relatively fast. Sometimes in Museum of Contemplation, it does come down to who can get closer to the second point at times.
I think it's about the answer to the way that Scatter is playing around TTK too, because if it's not the Strangling Prison, just grounding the threat of having that Kraken impact, which obviously we won't have that because you do have the 3-3 like you mentioned, it's about also having that Heaven's Retribution, the Invis from Millennia to try to pull back together Scatter. I mean, I like what we're seeing here from 100 Thieves to answer back, but Forky Dog making swap up to the back over to the Gambit, having that so strong. You just want to get those bubbles so that way you can get that speed burst. But it's going to be hard here for 100 Thieves, Gaskin.
And remember, Swamp Gaming don't have the access to the Wolf as well, right? It was banned, so they don't have that ability to just nap a Vanguard and be able to steal away and do that excess damage that we know Wolverine can do against said Vanguard. So a lot of responsibility to Daze and Mellow now on this Bucky and this Cyclops. There's going to be a lot of damage output here.
Yeah, they're going to be able to play around this with Daze now, answering back. Oh my, the kidnap! Somebody called 911 and help out Finny, and Valentina did not let them go because it's the Cloak and Dagger. You have the purple window to come in for the extra damage boost too. Try to be able to stop for as long as possible is going to be Self, but it's just a matter of time before Swamp Gaming clean up the rest.
A little bit too easy to get out of that first room, really. If you're going with a 3-3 setup, 100 Thieves, they just weren't really able to get that structure, but they will have the instant portal to try and deny here. TTK goes through first, will be heavily focused as well, but Mellow is there and waiting to output this damage, and SG were very much ready for this portal.
Very close to having that Ruby Rage as well as that Strangling Prison, but even closer to me, Forky Dog having that Rage and Royal Flush. The survivability with the Eternal Bond is even going to be bigger here. But look at Winnie and Delena with the fact that you will have that Karmic Revival, the Born Again. If you didn't get enough of the Kraken Impact reset, you will be able to hear the Born Again echo through your ears.
Yeah, if you get there, can they actually take down 100 Thieves before Delena even gets it up? Looks like Delena is going to be able to build it. Meteor M also going to come out. Can you slam that onto anyone's head is going to be the real question. You can, but it's not going to be enough because it's a Captain America that you hit. Ruby Rage does come out, but also the Invisible Boundary now down to protect.
That was such a crazy copy from Winnie. The timing on the Invisible Boundary actually helped out 100 Thieves majorly. Sure, you lose out on the Atom, but he's got the passive. He brings himself back, and he still has a Karmic Revival from Delena. He uses it frame one after coming out of that passive and brings everybody up to health here for 100 Thieves.
And that will allow 100 Thieves to win this engagement. SG back to spawn. They're going to have to try and reconsider how they want to approach this next fight. They are going to have ults to use. They've got Dace on that Kraken Impact and also Freedom Charge to initiate everything here for Swamp Gaming. But 100 Thieves also have defensive ultimates to work with as well here. This isn't going to be easy by any means. 100 Thieves in a pretty good position at the moment. SG going to have to do something special here. And I guess a lot of responsibility does come down to Daze on this Bucky.
That's what happens when you see 100 Thieves playing one of their favorite... Oh my goodness, that anti's ginormous. I keep seeing Forky Dog hit those. Very close as Daze does have that Kraken Impact, looking for the reset opportunity, and another kidnap, but it is on the Magneto. Great punish as he tries to get the reset. He at least marks him, but he gets out of his line of sight, which means the reset on the Kraken Impact does not come through, which is exactly what they needed when you have less than now a minute on the clock, basically.
Yeah, now look at this ult economy for 100 Thieves as well. God of Mischief is going to be there and available alongside everything they already had previously. Swamp Gaming now running out of time. 60 seconds remaining. Mellow starting to build up towards that Ruby Rage alongside, of course, the Raging Royal Flush, which will be the wombo combo they want to try to output here. Do they sacrifice one more neutral fight here to try and get on top? But 100 Thieves, because they have responsive ultimates here, they can kind of wait and see what SG do.
Man, bringing everybody here with the Ruby Rage. Evan's Retribution as Millennia is ready with the invisible boundary. He has another big Eye of Agamotto. Vinny, he hits those, and the follow-up is there. This time onto Forky, who goes down. You have now less than 30 seconds on the clock, but they're holding on to those ultimates for this final contest.
Such a good hold from 100 Thieves now. 20 seconds for Swamp Gaming to try and walk up. They do have plenty of ults to work with here. They have almost everything they could ask for, but time is not on their side, so they have to be quick here. 100 Thieves going to hold a high line to try and bully them back.
Winnie waiting. God of Mischief, as you mentioned, Forky Dog, Rager Royal Flush. Less than 3 seconds now. As Swamp Gaming, they pave the path from Scattered Genji, who has that Freedom Charge. Mellow opening up with the Punisher swap up does clip TTK's wings, but with the God of Mischief from Winnie, you hear the Born Again. The rest of Swamp Gaming now, it's get ready, set, go with the Rager Royal Flush. Meteor M trying to mark down Forky Dog. Where did he go? Oh my! The deflect from the Captain America shield, strangling Prison, and a big anti shuts down any attempt. Delena does have that passive. Can he be the hero that they need? He doesn't have it just yet, but the Eternal Bond from Swamp Gaming now comes in from Valentina, but they still lost out on 2 in the process, and the Born Again.
Yet again to get the stun on the Krasman. He's trying to survive, and now you'll see the invisible boundary come out as well.
Ooh.
Finally, Kraken Impact is popped, but it's 100 Thieves who are finding the KOs.
The self-show on the Magneto is more than enough, as Atlanta doesn't even need to use the Karmic Revival. Overtime, wasting away. Valentina cannot even contest as the rest of Swamp Gaming fall, as well as their second map.
100 Thieves introduced themselves back into the series and said this is not going to be as easy as you might have thought. Swamp Gaming take their first map loss of Stage 1. And that means we are actually going to see a map 4 guaranteed between these two teams. Very well thought out from 100 Thieves. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier, Vicky. When there is structure to it, when 100 Thieves are able to impact with their game plan, boy, do they look good. Well, so 100 Thieves, they will get the win. I think we may have lost Vicky temporarily, but don't worry, she'll be back, as will we. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will get into map 3 then. 100 Thieves get their first win on the board.
널 지킬 나란 걸 고집혀볼수록 점점 빠져들어 카리스마 넘쳐 흘러 oh yeah 분명한 소리 들려 여기서 저기서 날 찾으면 햇빛이 날 비춰와 시작이야 let's go 어둡고 흘러난 우주 따뜻한 눈으로 감싸나 순간 신비롭게 녹아내릴 거야 좀 더 기다려 I'll be there 쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈 던지고 최선을 다해 작품이 쳐봐 한도 믿어 내일까지 아름다운 꿈을 밝혀봐 우리에게 달려서 세계 운명 눈이 부신 모든 순간들 지켜내야 해 내가 좋아지려면
Back everyone to Marvel Rivals Ignite, and we have quite the series on our hands between Swamp Gaming and 100 Thieves. And great news, Vicky is back. Welcome back, Vicky.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to have you.
Hey.
I was worried for a second that I would be all alone.
No, don't worry, I'm here. I got Karmic revived, actually, after watching the action we just saw from 100 Thieves, because they clutch it out. We go the distance, guys. Sometimes, you know, you have to talk to Shibby in the back end, right? And Shib blessed us with his words alone, Gaskin. But now with 100 Thieves, having such a great lineup when it comes to having the Adam with Delena, Winnie with the Loki, the fact that Millennia was right there to punish the Angela was chef's kiss. As we take a look at the MVP of that previous match on Museum of Contemplation, they keep their streak as Delena is the MVP. I mean, even at the very end, man, the fact that you still had that threat looming when you're losing numbers in Swamp Gaming side is so scary to deal with. Honestly, personally, I'm not too sure if the Cloak and Dagger was really the choice here, and that's the fact that 100 Thieves really capitalized off of their triple strat and triple Vanguard to hold up.
All of you take a screenshot of this, and when you tell me I can't play Adam Warlock in ranked, I'm going back to this picture. Wait, I'm not quite on the same standard as Delena, I'm going to be completely honest. But yeah, the 3-3, it worked, right? And getting the God of Mischief copy onto the Karmic Revival as well. In the end, it was able to outplay the God of Mischief copy of the Raging Royal Flush. That was the two biggest factors at times. But you were mentioning it during the break when we finally got you back, that it was a lot about the ult economy and how those ults were used and planned out by 100 Thieves. They just missed out on map 1 by like one ult timing. This time they are able to ensure they take the map.
And it's great, too, with the way that Self was playing on Magneto, whether it be those little slight stalls, right? Nothing to see here with a big guy like Magneto trying to hide behind the sliver of a tree that was the payload. But then having the bubbles available shut down Dave's attempt on trying to get some of those kidnaps once you allow that Wolverine to come through, right? So then you try to see these focuses, and you allow, you know, just being able to enable, or rather disable Swamp Gaming's duelist from trying to make these plays, and it completely also shuts down the Kraken impact that Daze needed to go hard for when he went over to that Bucky, originally when he was on Daredevil.
Well, for the first time in Marvel Rivals Stage 1, Swamp Gaming are going to be able to pick their map. They haven't been able to do that so far because they have been winning every single time. And of course, map choice goes to the loser of the tie. So I'm curious where Swamp Gaming take us. It's actually going to tell us a lot about what their preference is, where they feel like is comfortable for them, and also where they maybe feel like is uncomfortable for 100 Thieves as well.
Can you imagine if that first map had like just a better ult rotation too? Like that, this could have been so different, Gaskin. Now moving on to map number 3, it's gonna be interesting as we get to see all smiles here tied 1-1 apiece in our best of 5 series.
Oh, Hall of Jalia is where we're going to be taking ourselves as well. So I don't hate this choice. I mean, we have seen them a couple of times on it. 100 Thieves, I'm curious to see whether they'll go for something similar when they're on the defensive side. Do they go for the triple Vanguard, triple Strat as well? It certainly worked out on Museum of Contemplation.
Going the distance, Gaskin, Hall of Jalia. Will it be a very similar fashion with the whole that we have seen now as we move on to Convergence? Not only is land on the line for this series, but it's also a statement maker after watching TLC dominate in their first series. Now, 100 Thieves matching that together of Swamp Gaming.
We have seen 100 Thieves lose on this map throughout the group stages as well, so perhaps this is one that has been studied viciously by Swamp Gaming to try and pick them apart in their approach, and maybe the lock-in bans will tell us a little bit more as well, but expect more of the same to begin with. Mantis to be taken away, Rogue to probably be a focus as well, and then the Protect onto things like Gambit. But, you know, this is what we wanted, Vicky. We wanted a closely contested match. We didn't want a simple 3-0. We want it to be more competitive at the top end here in Americas, and we're getting just that from 100 Thieves.
If Vinny keeps playing the way that Vinny is playing, man, like he was on another level, like 2 back-to-back huge Eye of Agamottos, TTK locked in, making these adjustments too, Forky Dog as well. I like what I'm seeing from 100 Thieves, but it goes down to this pick and ban phase. Of course, Mantis will never see the light of day, understandable there. As we get to see the Protects moving forward, will it still be on that Gambit? I mean, I'm expecting that, of course, from Swamp Gaming, to be able to rely on that together with the damage boost and being able to put yourself in place for Hall of Jalia. Obviously, no matter what map, honestly, if you really think about it, it matters, as the 100 Thieves linger over what that next ban is going to look like.
I think this is such good news for 100 Thieves, fans of 100 Thieves, fans of this region as well for Marvel Rivals, because, you know, the preseason 100 Thieves, there was times where they would not, you wouldn't have expected them to get this close to Swamp Gaming, right? Swamp Gaming just seemed like they were head and shoulders above the rest alongside Team Liquid Citadel, but now 100 Thieves showing they are competitive. They will go for the Protect onto Gambit, and we are going to see Swamp Gaming also completely respect the Angela play they just witnessed. It's going to be an instant ban onto that Angela, removing it from TTK.
I do like that too, because then you get to go for some backcap shenanigans, harassing that backline. You don't want to bait out those lamps too if you're going to be able to rock out with the Loki Gambit like we have seen them do. The Cyclops ban is also really great, and 100 Thieves do take away the information that Daredevil brings to the table here as Swamp Gaming now hovering over the next ban, as well as 100 Thieves, seeing what they're going to protect next here. It's going to be that back and forth, but I love the way that both these teams have been able to readjust around the fact that they see the Gambit protect. You don't want to deal with the Rogue on the other side, and the Rocket Raccoon, no surprise there too, considering 100 Thieves do start things off on defense, and we saw them already in map number 1, Gaskin, when they were able to combine that Galactic Legend together with the Sia.
Swamp Gaming did look better when they had Wolverine plus Cyclops in that first matchup, and they may have the chance to do it again here, if 100 Thieves do not ban out said Cyclops, because they've gone to lock down that Wolverine. Interestingly, Swamp Gaming are allowing Rogue to go through for 100 Thieves, so they're going to have access to Gambit and Rogue as well, and of course they went for the Protect onto Rocket Raccoon. There is the ban for Cyclops. There is the respect of that team-up that we know is very deadly. The Swamp Gaming won't have access to the team-up. Instead, they'll just have the Wolverine to work with. So, I mean, looking at the lock and bans here, I think 100 Thieves, because they were able to bully so much with the Angela, it freed up a lock for them with the ban coming out on the other side. So now they have Rocket Raccoon to work with as well, and it means they will have the BRB and the Sia. But that's also going to be there for Swamp Gaming too.
It's also been that back and forth in the ban phase where if it's going to be the Daredevil that gets banned, you could immediately expect them by Swamp Gaming to prioritize that Protect onto the Wolverine, which did so much together when you get that fastball special rolling out of the gates here. But it's going to be 100 Thieves starting things off on defense. We mentioned about the Rocket getting the Sia just as quickly. And imagine, you get the double damage boost. It is going to be scary because you also get to rock out with the Gambit themselves.
Curious to see what the compositions are here, as it's going to be 100 Thieves defending first. Are they going to go for a 3-3 yet again? At the moment, they are hovering something a little bit more different. Hella currently being hovered as well, and I love seeing Hella in action, by the way. We saw a little bit of Hella and Namor yesterday coming in with the team up. It looks like 100 Thieves are going to go for something a little bit separate. It's going to be Delena on the Hella, Self over on the Star-Lord, as now SG will move on in to try and break. It's more of a familiar strategy for them.
I've seen this one before. Delena rolling out on that Hella, as you've already mentioned. Self gonna be able, but Daze is prowling about, looking to find his next victim. It's gonna be the fastball special. Kraz yeeting the Wolverine. Can he find one? He finds them both, but it's going to be the Magneto Bubbles and the punish, and he can't even drop down. Beautiful pull-in from Delena to get the punish onto Daze, being the first one out of this fight.
First round of fight means they are down to just 5, and you still want to commit to this one heavily. This is a big 1v1 to try and take Self. Will just back off and away from that one. Respects Mello, knows how good Mello can be on that Star-Lord as well. So instead they say, look, we'll just wait. We have numbers advantage. We will take the time we have gained from getting that first pick on today.
Right, Delena is here, babysitting the back line. Tries to pull him in again. Kraz, though, was right there to try to back him up, putting down the bubble. Then immediately retaliating as Delena looks away for 1 second. Beautiful bubble this time, though, at the hands of TTK. Being able to have that team up together with the Gambit, though, it's going to be a different look. Then you have the Band Amber to follow up, as Mello is going to be able to follow, and Valentina to get the next victim of 100 Thieves. They're lacking that survivability, no BRB with Millennia going down, and now Swamp Gaming are looking to take control over this point unless a portal play comes up from Vinny.
Vinny does switch over, but can you get there quick enough is going to be the real question. It doesn't look like you can, sadly, for 100 Thieves, so I don't know if they even used it in the end. And SG will be able to take that first point. Such a distraction technique by Daze, by the way. Just capturing that Hella and kidnapping. So much attention was taken away from the rest of the fight that 100 Thieves trying to keep Delena alive. It meant that SG were able to then bully their way in and take the point.
I'm just loving, like, every single time we catch it right on cue from the observers. You have Kraz there also to give him the bubble so that way Daze doesn't get punished, and instead is enabling him to get these initial picks. Self will be able to come back just as quickly, though, and Mello, look at this, has a Galactic Legend together with Forky Dog taking a page out of 100 Thieves map #1 book, and now you have the Raging Royal Flush to follow. You try to let them go through here, you try to isolate Millennia, you take away that BRB, and that will not be a threat, as Self cannot get back into the action after following Millennia.
They win the fight, and they don't even need to use Sia. They don't even need to use Galactic Legend. SG are marching this one closer, but now off spawn, 100 Thieves, they can have a lot to work with. You can already see those ults now ticking over to 100%. But there's just so much distance that's being covered already in such little time here by Swamp.
I saw that attempt here from Forky Dog. He wants to use that Sia. He still talked about it before. He gets a Sia, the Galactic Legend, the Wumble combo. It's gonna be met from both sides. But Daze and Valentina get the first 2 follow-ups, even with Delena getting the reset of the Goddess of Death. Forky Dog at least brings back Mello here, but Swamp Gaming, they were already up in numbers. Vinny clinging on for dear life, but not for very long, because here comes the dive down with the last stand of the Wolverine, and this is why 100 Thieves banned out Swamp Gaming's Wolverine originally.
About 5 whole minutes to get to this third point now. We know that final choke can be very difficult, so 100 Thieves, I'm sure, will try and set up around it here, but Swamp Gaming just seem to be finding those picks consistently through Kraz and Daze working together, utilizing that Wolverine to just nab them away and disrupt that backline of 100 Thieves, as they are making a few changes here in terms of their hero selection. We'll have to see whether they can actually make it count.
I do like this a lot more, honestly. Just unfortunate. You can try to get the kidnap, Scatter gets Banhammer, gets protected by his own bubble, creating a lot more of that space, and also baiting out the bubble! Just so that way you can get this kidnap. Thanks to Kraz and Daze, who are getting set up and just enabled by Scatter. Daze does not let TTK go once that bubble was down, and Kraz gets back to the safety with just a sliver of health, and was also protected by that bubble too.
Kraz really pushing the limit of how low he went there. Sun's getting real low, but he throws Daze in yet again for another kidnap. And this time it's Self who gets targeted. Valentina gets the first KO. Kraz will follow up. And 100 Thieves are on the ropes here.
Did someone tell Swamp Gaming that this is not a speed run right now, because they're at 3 minutes, less than 43 seconds on the clock. TTK desperately trying to contest. Meteor M, though, takes him up, and Self cannot get there on time. What an attack push from Swamp Gaming with 3 minutes and 40 seconds on their bank.
That is going to be tough to beat for 100 Thieves. But of course, they don't have to beat it just yet. They just need to get 3 of their own to move into overtime. If they have less time for OT, so be it. But that is the first thing on the table. Wow, look at the difference we've just seen in that game. A completely one-sided affair. 100 Thieves just couldn't find their footing whatsoever. And Swamp Gaming take full advantage of their strategy being employed here. A lot of it was down to those kidnaps, of course, from Daze working with Kraz, just being able to get tossed in and then bring someone out, and then the damage came from everyone else. Now 100 Thieves are going to have to try and do something similar themselves here on their attack.
You called him a bowling ball earlier, but he keeps hitting all these strikes. Somebody needs to stop him, because this is terrifying. Like, the fact that TTK gets, if it's not with the Emma where your diamond form gets baited out, then it's with your Magneto bubble. You try to utilize a team up together with a Gambit, but look at the fact that you have Vinny, who hasn't been able to even play the game, and Millennia also getting fixated on. So you look at what Kraz and Daze have been able to roll out with. Sure, you could ban out the Daredevil, but it's completely fine. You also give Daze, by the way, the jump, and he's able to skyrocket literally into the air to then benefit off of these kidnaps once these abilities are forced off of cooldown.
Take note of the BRB position as well. Rocket Raccoon
I wrote that down.
That is certainly, yeah, you just a little note, because that is going to be a difficult one to try and spot. All these like meta off positions for BRBs can be very important for your team when you get that respawn. But here come 100 Thieves then on their chance to try and attack and see if they can beat the time of Swamp Gaming and send us to overtime.
Gonna be tough here, but with Vinny now taking their turn to take advantage of the Gambit team up. Look at Daze, he's on the prowl, he gets the jump, he finds a kidnap onto Winnie, and the beautiful follow-up from Scatter to capitalize off that pick, but the BRB does bring him right back, but it's a BRB that's now on a pretty big cooldown, 30 plus here at this point, while TTK is trying to create this space, but is getting his head dinged on by Mello.
What are you supposed to do against Wolverine when you're playing in that way, as Mello also taking down the mirror matchup and deleting Self from the lobby? And there's going to be a second with Vinny now falling. Swamp Gaming gain control of this fight, and they're going to force 100 Thieves back to spawn. So attempt number 1 is unsuccessful here for 100 Thieves, and it's back to the drawing board.
I'm looking into my looking glass, Gaskin, and I am prompting a Wolverine ban instead of the Daredevil immediately. If we do move on here, of course we will, because this is a tight series at her hands. But the fact that they're down to less than 2 minutes, 45 seconds, look at Kraz, look at Daze, they're ready to hit another strike out of the park. Let's see who the first victim's gonna be as he sends him on the balcony, taking a nice little look at the view before dropping down, not trying to overcommit at the same time.
The fact that you've got the team up, it just means you get 2 attempts at the kidnap with the toss, and then you also get 1 of your own through your own abilities. It's very difficult to play against here, and 100 Thieves very much struggling to try and protect some of their back line. We will see the BRB res onto Dace as well after going down, as now the Seer will come through for 100 Thieves.
This is big here. At least with the Sia, they have the number advantage, and all for naught. You have the Ranger Plus. Can Mello even this out? Now that the Sia is done, they have to be able to push forward on this, but they're trying to shut him down. Delena opening up the gates for 100 Thieves. The Sia goes down, but Scatter at least has the portal play to come back together with the rest of Swamp Gaming, because the rest of 100 Thieves, they're not really moving up. They know that they have the positional advantage, and they're terrified of Daze.
Yeah, they were also worried about that Seer, but speaking of Daze, he gets deleted by Delena, who is popping off on Hela as well, and is also going to go up into the sky and just apply so much damage here, but is ripped through. Is it going to matter, though, as 100 Thieves gain control at this point? The portal has allowed SG to get back into the action, but they are down a player here.
That World Breaker Hulk got deleted faster than the world actually breaking below his feet. Now you have the Ranger Royal Flush. Are you the man, Forky Dog? Actually gets away. Is going to be able to wall climb over to the right side of that wall. And now 100 Thieves are looking to take this point at Swamp Gaming. They wanted to try to contest, but they were forced inside the garage. Eye of Agamotto, though, does find TTK and Vinny. And this could be a great hold here if Swamp Gaming can hold the high ground of the hill.
Yeah, if you can hold this one, if you can win this engagement, you basically force the opposition to actually try and retake in a similar fashion you've just seen before. It's another tough choke point to try and push out. And at the moment, they are backing off 100 Thieves. They are giving the respect to SG, as now Raging Royal Flush will come out. And Daze is there and waiting, by the way. See if he can pick anyone off.
Last stand activated, pushing them into the spawn room gate. They said, oh yeah, you know what? You could have that. They wasted the Raging Royal Flush, and all 100 Thieves did was just wait for it. Now Daze still has that last stand, which is why he didn't overcommit to that ultimate after seeing the rest of 100 Thieves kite away.
Last Stand and Galactic Legend now here for Swamp Gaming, but 100 Thieves also have plenty of offensive ultimates to use as well. I expect Vinny to get that Heartbreaker out, and it will start us off here in this engagement.
With the Sia here to try to deal with this, and the Heartbreaker, they wanted to put it down just on time, and now you have the Galactic Legend and the combo from both ends. Self does find Valentina, but the BRB brings her right back. Now trying to contest him here from the inside of this room. You have clobbering time, but Mello is floating right above their heads. Then you follow up, you find Daze, and that's a big first pickoff, because you will not have to worry about that last stand.
It is always the Rocket that just about survives, the tricksy little raccoon that gets away. And Swamp Gaming not able to capitalize on some of those ultimates, but they were able to bide a lot of time in their favor as 100 Thieves finally gain control of this point and can start to push towards the second. Swamp Gaming did it a lot quicker, that's for sure, but as I mentioned earlier, all 100 Thieves have to do is match the points to begin with. They don't need to worry too much about the time right now. Instead, it's about just getting to 3 and then worrying about time later.
Oh, he comes diving down like a missile. The last stand, isolating Winnie again, but the BRB comes in clutch. Actually allows the Ranger Royal Flush to come in after Millennia brought him back, and Delena now taking to the skies with the Goddess of Death allows him to find Scatter. That's 3 out for Swamp Gaming, and now it's gonna have to be a clean reset for Swamp Gaming to re-engage.
It is really interesting to see the difference when Daze doesn't get the pick, by the way. If 100 Thieves can avoid that initial grab, and maybe the second grab as well, suddenly they put themselves in such a better position, and Delena is doing work on the Hela, being able to get these final hits. A lot of these weak players, the damage that's being done elsewhere by Self, Delena is getting final hits on.
Great communication display too, right? Just following up from your point here for 100 Thieves, but now with the Raging Royal Flush, it's going to be met with the Sia, but it's not going to have a combo. Banhammer now coming through, and even with that Raging Royal Flush, Delena is collecting heads on a stake, one by one as they fall. Sure, take your Raging Royal Flush, but Delena bets it all on red, and currently finding their heads and getting the second checkpoint.
And they get a second checkpoint with 2 minutes and 20 on the clock. Again, SG were able to get to that third with 3 minutes 40, so 100 Thieves already a minute plus behind, but at least they are getting towards the third point as job number 1, and they are going to have Galactic Legend and Clobbering Time going into this next one, which can be a fantastic combo as well. You get the stuns onto everyone, and the Galactic Legend goes off.
Here, kitty kitty, though, as Vinny's been doing a really good job at shutting down Days 2, trying to get the grab. And same thing when it comes to TDK making this swap, doing a lot better of a job than what we saw in the first map. Taking everything, your whole house and kids. It's going to be with a Heartbreaker from Vinny. Getting out of the range, though, is going to be Mellow, who has the Galactic Legend. No Sia, though, a Freezer, as well as the Exile, shutting down Kraz. The BRB does bring back Vinny, and Kraz, unfortunately for the Bruce Banner form, will also have to get brought back by their own BRB, bringing everybody together to try to clear this point. The Self potential was there, and now with the Sia, Swamp Gaming do have the slight advantage as Self needs to back away.
Yeah, 100 Thieves will just back off slightly while it's happening, but Vinny getting work done on this Rogue at the moment, re-engages and retakes this point. A Scatter Genji's going to be the next focus, and somehow, someway, he gets away. No, he doesn't. Self's able to finish him off and get that final hit.
Ooh, the dive down from Days. The cannonball onto Winnie and Self. Winnie cannot catch a break here, but at least they did use up that Ranger Royal Flush. But the thing is, you find Delena, you cannot get the Goddess of Death, which is something that they've also been going in tandem to utilizing these ults together.
55 seconds left. 100 Thieves haven't been able to break through this choke point, which Swamp Gaming are holding so effectively at the moment, but 100 Thieves will have advantage in terms of ults. Delena is going to be able to pop it potentially, and also now we are going to see Sia is there and available, but Self gets ripped out of the server.
It's fine. They got the BRB. They bring him back. Big cooldown once again. But then you have the Ranger Royal Flush from Valentina. Not really a follow-up unless Mello could get this Galactic Legend, so holding onto it for now. And finding Delena is even bigger. Mello shutting down Delena, who's been taking these different off angles, goes crazier. They're down to less than 20 seconds now on the clock.
Good spin, and Mello will be able to finish off Millennia as well. It is going to be an easy finish in the end on that final hit, and Galactic Legend has been built up. Swamp Gaming now should surely be able to win from this point, but 100 Thieves are not going to go down without a fight here. They do have ults available. That Seer is going to be there. They just need someone to get the touch.
Oh, good luck, though. The touch does come through, as you mentioned. The Goddess of Death sends Delena skyrocketing upwards. But when you have the Ranger Royal Flush, Mello mowing down the lawns of 100 Thieves, even with that Sia activated from Millennia, just an ult economy being in favor for Swamp Gaming. It's not clobbering time as it gets interrupted, as Days has a feast with the rest of 100 Thieves, and we are absolutely going to see that next ban as Swamp Gaming hold them back.
We see why Swamp Gaming chose this map as well. They were just ruthless on their attack and also solid on their defense as well. Not impenetrable, but they were at least able to hold onto that third point. But a lot of it was down to the Kraz and Days combo. The Hulk plus Wolverine, baby. It was working perfectly for them.
I mean, like, the fact that they got held, like, back-to-back, too, even if they did get beyond that second checkpoint, you saw how much time was in the time bank for Swamp Gaming. They were looking like they were trying to set a speedrun record on Hall of Jalia. But Days was playing on another level. The fastball special is too strong, everybody. We are going down to the wire with Swamp Gaming currently sitting at match point. Don't go anywhere, because we'll find out what map number 4 is looking like next.
stopping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Playing and hoping your fries, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls before the
Swamp Gaming are 2-1 up now against 100 Thieves here in this second series of the day here in America's of playoffs of Marvel Rivals Ignite. That was a mouthful, but we are going to go into map 4 now here, Vicky. But we'll take a look back of what just happened. Swamp Gaming, it was a...
Right now, there's just no way that Wolverine is getting by in the ban phase. Like, it's hasta la vista, but it matters here if 100 Thieves want to go to distance. It all comes down to what map we're moving on to, Gaskin.
I did like getting to see Hela in action. I thought Helena was fantastic on Hela, if I'm honest, but it just wasn't enough really to answer back to what the Wolverine was doing. MVP goes over towards Valentina on Gambit. No shock there, just Valentina was solid going through that game. No response from the other side. Very comfortable indeed. And I just think that that was a well-rehearsed game. It was a game plan that Swamp Gaming knew they were going to be able to put into effect, and there wasn't really any answer back from 100 Thieves, regardless of what they tried.
Yep, and in this best of 5, you could only imagine just how the adjustments have been playing itself like a seesaw. 100 Thieves are going to be ready going into this, but Swamp Gaming are currently sitting at match point. And with Valentina being the MVP, going crazy off the gambit, you saw 7 finals right there too, had hit some pretty big antes. And with the overall results, Gaskin, looking at the change up here, I mean, if you don't ban Unfortunate Days as Wolverine, then TTK will get stuck in jail and not be able to shine.
But the trouble is then you do that ban and it just opens up other things as well. It means that then potentially the Daredevil comes back into the fray, and depending on what map is chosen here, I think will be important of which heroes you actually allow to get through. And I think 100 Thieves, they're going to have to be going back into their playbook here to see what is going to be good for them in terms of their map selection, to find something that they can take us all the way to a map 5. I feel like this series deserves a map 5, Vicky, but that being said, Swamp Gaming have momentum behind them now.
They do, but the fact that 100 Thieves are still able to take a map is big and a statement on its own with the way that they are able to make a lot of these comebacks. They learned their lesson. That's why we didn't see the Wolverine that time around. You force out the Bucky instead. And moving on forward, though, map number 4 will be on Midtown. So you talk about how you kind of have to choose one or the other. Do you get the fixation on getting the Daredevil out or the Wolverine? And on Midtown, sure, even if you let the Daredevil go through, you will have some of that information. But I feel like, depending on if we're also going to see Loki or even the triple strat, triple Vanguard hold from 100 Thieves, we could see a very similar situation as to how they won on map number 2 on Museum of Contemplation.
100 Thieves did play this in group stages and did find a win as well. It was a 17-minute game. It was quite a long one in terms of a back and forth when they were able to compete. We haven't seen Swamp Gaming on it. So again, we are noticing a pattern with these teams going up against some of the heavy hitters. They're trying to find something that's a little less comfortable for them, and that's exactly what you're seeing here with Midtown being selected. This first point can be very difficult to break through, though, and if you do think of what 100 Thieves were able to do on Museum of Contemplation, there could be some similarities here for this point number 1.
See how with all of our players getting ready to go with Swamp Gaming. Once again, for those of you guys tuning in just slightly late, best of 5, Swamp Gaming are sitting at match point, and what is at stake is a top 3 spot, as well as an opportunity for these teams to make it into LAN, with 100 Thieves still being able to take a map against the Titans that are also Swamp Gaming. It's gonna look a little tough here as we hover over our first bans. Yeah, it's gonna be the Mantis, no surprise there immediately. Probably the Gambit Protect following up afterwards, as now 100 Thieves also need to linger on what that next ban is gonna be, as absolutely with the Wolverine.
Yeah, the initial locks and bans less interesting at the moment with these two teams. It's actually what's coming through a little bit later, and that is, again, immense respect shown to what TTK has been able to do on that Angela with the ban straight away, not allowing it. That will open up a few different factors here for 100 Thieves when they get down to their lock a little bit later on, but I don't blame Swamp Gaming for removing that, as 100 Thieves go back to the default of getting rid of rope.
No surprise here, too. We did see Vinny really step up also on that map, too, that they ended up winning. Even being able to see Self on the Magneto was a nice little treat here as you take out the Cyclops, the Wolverine. Oh, immediately right afterwards before Swamp Gaming get to their final protect.
Yeah, so do you try and go for the Daredevil Protect here, the Cyclops Protect as well? Or are you just going to give the opportunity for your duelist to be able to go off and really take an advantage over 100 Thieves? It is going to be Daredevil in the end.
Yeah.
The pattern is still emerging with these two teams. It's either one or the other. Daze is going to get the chance to do things on Daredevil. So maybe they will then also ban the Daredevil away as well. We'll have to see, as Rocket Raccoon is going to be taking away from 100 Thieves. We'll see what their lock's going to be.
Or even the Rocket, right? If you want to try to go in for a ban, I mean, 100 Thieves is rolling out on the attack, but the Rocket Sia together with a Star-Lord Galactic Legend just provided so much here. As 100 Thieves, they hover over their final protect. Yep, there you go. So Swamp Gaming won't be able to have that opportunity because 100 Thieves being ahead of them in the pick and ban phase will allow them to get that protect. So they will be able to have the wombo combo of that Sia Amplifier as well as that Galactic Legend.
Ooh, Loki being removed in the end. I think that makes sense as well. I mean, we were able to see what 100 Thieves were able to do with that Loki in previous games. It does mean, of course, it opens things up for a Daredevil possibility for 100 Thieves if they would like to, but maybe Swamp Gaming feel like if it is a Daredevil mirror, Daze is going to win out, so we'll have to see.
I like what we're seeing here so far, too, because if you're going to try to enable the dive, you also, you know, aside from baiting out the lamps, you want to be able to also help out Daze here. We've seen Daze pop up in the past. If it's not on the Wolverine, it was before her nails got filed down, the Black Cat, and now you're going to be able to see it out with the Daredevil, showcasing their strengths here as we get started in what could possibly be the final map. But I want to see this go the distance, Gaskin. Swamp Gaming currently, once again, sitting at match point.
I swear these players hover on purpose, by the way, to make us think
Oh, yeah.
they're going to play something a little bit different. They are trolling us and everyone watching. Once we get into it, but 100 Thieves, they're going to be attacking first, so Swamp Gaming looking to try and go for something on the defensive side and see if they can stop them on this first point as well. We know how sometimes Midtown can be a little bit difficult to get to said first point. It's one of my favorite initial points to hold, by the way, so we'll have to see how they do it. By the way, Daze is apparently on Blade.
Oh my! I was gonna say, it wasn't a bait! They were actually expecting maybe the triple Vanguard to roll out here of the gates, but usually you see that on the defensive side. But the fact that Vinny now, noting where Daze is, being on the Blade after we highlighted at the start of our stream, the season 8.5 changes, is Chef's Kiss. Now you see Daze here, gonna be able to get the anti-heal already off the rip. You see the brute wall set up here too, as Daze is gonna be able to escape just right on time, just defeating to those strategist ultimates. At TTK though, finds the victim onto Kraz, a great matchup when it comes to Emma V. Boost up your beam on those brute walls.
I'm always impressed when someone tries something a little bit different, and boy is this different. But with SG losing the first player here, they're going to have to try and stabilize and wait for that player to come back. Krasman is going to switch over to Venom now, it would seem, just to try and get back into the fray a lot quicker than before. His 100 Thieves now are going to try and get around this corner, as again, Daze is going to try and hunt down, see if he can take down Self on the silo.
Self said, I'm out of here. Not today, as Daze is going to be able to back away, put in still more of that pressure. Mello, being on that Punisher, is going to be able to destroy these brute walls. Great recognition here. Take some notes, making sure as the God of Mischief allows the Ranger Royal Flush to move up. Forky Dog will be able to have theirs to follow. It's about deleting that Sia here as Mello finds TTK. Shotgun in hand. Winnie, though, to trade that off to lose out on Daze. But that is pretty big because they did have the Sia, and that would have gone hand in hand with the Sound of Seduction.
If you are playing Punisher, I know it's so tempting to just put bullets into those Vanguards over and over again, but a game like this, you need to be taking down those walls. You need to be focusing on Seers, BRBs, anything that you can delete quickly with the gun as Punisher is. Now Mello is going to have an ult available as well. Speaking of, there's going to be 4 ults available as now Rage and Royal Flush gets popped on side of it.
Oh my, the antes in the follow-up. When you have the final judgment, they keep Mello alive, and you see Self trying to make magic happen with the dance of the butterfly, but nothing comes out as Shotgun Mello is here to make a statement to follow up alongside Daze and Blade.
Seeing if they can just cut off the Lena now as well and not allow him to get away, but just about escapes the gunfire, and the Galactic Legend is going to be there to be used as well. Alongside that Strangling Prison, it's really going to be a chance to go for a wombo combo here for 100 Thieves to see if they can take down Swamp. But Swamp do have responses to work with as well, and they have eaten away a lot of time for 100 Thieves.
He may not have those adamantium claws, but he's got the double-edged threat here. Scatter having the Meteor M, Valentina looking to get another God of Mischief. I like the way that they've been able to stagger the strat ults, but look at Delena, who will not have the Sia. Millennia is a little close, but the Galactic Legend's been online for a bit. Vinny, too, with the Strangling Prison. He's looking for the opportunity. Playing very split is going to be Swamp Gaming there, and they are able to take care of, oh man, looking on the other side here, just trying to be able to find an opportunity to wrap around the other side of 100 Thieves with Self rolling on the Daredevil, and here comes the Strangling Prison for nothing here over to the side. It's only really found Daze, but a beautiful Purify coming out for Swamp Gaming.
Well, now the Galactic Legend get popped as well. Can you get behind enemy lines and be able to pick off any of these strategists? Yes, you can. Forky Dog gets removed, but Valentina responds onto Self. And now the Seer gets popped on the side of 100 Thieves. It will be taken down. And SG are still surviving, even with the Seer and Galactic Legend getting raced onto them.
The fact that Valentina was able to hold off Self and Delena right there, forcing Delena away. Scatter now activates a portal. Daze is having their way, though, with the antes onto these Vanguards. Raging Royal Flush now on the side of Winnie. Allows TTK to follow up Winnie to clap back after being able to clear 3 out of Swamp Gaming, and they get that first checkpoint.
It was hard work for 100 Thieves, but they do eventually get there. But this is something special from SG. The fact that Daze still rocking the blade, by the way, does have ult available. Mello also has one up. We are going to see Psionic Seduction as the first possible opportunity for 100 Thieves to work with on the Emma. And if you can actually use that Psionic Seduction to do what they did previously, really targeting that backline of SG, maybe you can be able to get a full wipe on it.
Especially with Forky Dog about to have that Raging Royal Flush. Daze back away, calling out Self 2 together with Mello. They're going to let him get away and wrap up on the other side of the balcony where there is that health back, and now you have the Raging Royal Flush. You have the Psionic Seduction just to try to stop the push. Daze with a deflect, though, forcing TTK to back away to retain the energy charge and the diamond form, but Daze still finds Vinny in this scattered fight. Swamp Gaming now retake the point on this defensive side here. Finally, I was going to say they got to flip the point here, getting one member down there just so that way they can reclaim it in their favor. And if you look at 100 Thieves here, they're waiting on that Sia together with Delena.
100 Thieves just backing off, regrouping, 1 minute 45 seconds on the clock. Delena still waiting to pull trigger on that Galactic Legend. Now with Sia being up, probably going to be the trigger being pulled shortly. It's just a matter of getting into position now and getting that heads up. And there you go. It is going to be responded on, but it's going to be 2, make it 3 potentially. It is free roam for Delena up in the sky. As 5, make it 6 go down. A full wipe for 100 Thieves.
You heard the judge and jury, and then you see Delena coming in as the prosecutor instead, shutting him down and forcing the immediate swap onto the Bucky for Mello, not getting the extension that they needed, and also they really want to rely on the Raging Royal Flush that Valentina would have had if she stayed alive here for this next upcoming fight. As you see the diamond getting pulled out from Mello here, taking their time as a Heartbreaker comes in next from Vinny. Big ante, though, to follow up, and the God of Mischief sets Swamp Gaming up on this defensive side.
I like this switch over to Bucky, though. Mello has a chance now to leap through some of these Vanguards. Vinny's going to be the first target, and even though the Devil has been let out from Self, is there going to be a response on the other side? It looks like the answer is going to be yes. SG were more than prepared for it.
But the fact that he stayed alive is even more impressive, but the number advantage still goes in favor for Swamp Gaming. 100 Thieves just trying to stall for as long as possible, but they were down in numbers, and Scatter going to be able to find Vinny next. They've controlled the point, and they're forcing 100 Thieves back with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
30 seconds, Vinny is going to switch over to Doctor Strange here just to try and get a portal and make sure they can get behind enemy lines and disrupt this high line that is being held, and Psionic Seduction is still there, waiting to be used, and you will see the switch over. The portal is now going to be there as well for the touch. Only 12 seconds left. We're going to go probably to overtime here at this point, but TTK gets the opener onto Kraz.
You get the double Ranger Royal flush, and Scatter's able to find Vinny. Big pick-off right here, but Kraz going down is another big one as you called out. You won't be able to have the follow-up with Strangling Prison, but you may not even need it. You get the triple ante, but the Sia is the insurance policy that they needed. Self then finds Mellow. TTK is putting them up in numbers, and Swamp Gaming are dropping like flies. Coming right back into the action, though. They still have 2 ultimates, but they're clearing at the point to get to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, can they actually get onto the touch? Yes, they can. Groot goes hard as Krasman, though, gets deleted instantly as he goes for the touch, and the second point will be gathered by 100 Thieves. They get 1 minute 30 on the clock for this third point.
Demolishing the Groot house, 99 wood cutting while they were at it, and now Kraz still holding on to that Strangling Prison. With Swamp Gaming staggering like that, though, even better look as they try to go in for a very aggressive portal play, keeping them by the garage doors here before trying to go up the hill. Not really liking the position and taking their time before trying to wrap around the other side of the payload. Ranger Royal Flush! Ranger Royal Flush
It's going to be
activated!
there alongside Scatter Genji now, doing a lot of damage as well. You see all of the KO feed getting absolutely lit up here by SG as they force 100 Thieves back to spawn once more.
Much better.
100 Thieves, though, when they come out, they got the Ranger Royal Flush themselves, but it was a silent Ranger Royal Flush with Valentina Eve being on the other side of that portal to activate that and to start off this fight. Great hold to sit down here in this position. The pull in, Strangling Prison. Mello goes in with the wombo combo, but did not get the pull that they were looking for thanks to the Ranger Royal Flush to purify everybody.
Self trying to have a field day at the moment, hasn't opted to pop the Let the Devil out, instead just goes down, but I think elsewhere the damage is being done as they are able to find a couple of KOs in their favor. Scatter is still delaying at the moment. 15 seconds left, but 100 Thieves do gain control of the cart here. And now for SG, they can take their time in this rebuild, but you don't want to give up too much space here to 100 Thieves.
I mean, now at this point, this third checkpoint, there's so much verticality, I'm not too sure how this blade is gonna fare. But 100 Thieves have all the answers, and Winnie has been popping off. Sure, you have the ultimate ready. Cue the blade music if it goes big, but with the Heartbreaker, it takes it away from Daze. He gets out of the position. Unfortunate for Valentina is the first victim, and Forky Dog is relying on that Ranger Royal Flush. But 100 Thieves have everything to match.
Mello does get the first, but the BRB is going to be there, and now Dace is going to send himself in alongside the BRB that comes out, as well as the Sia now, and 100 Thieves trying to hold on as everyone is ripping through ults. No one able to find KOs until Self actually takes down Mello here.
They wanted to enable Mello, though, with the Strangling Prison. It could have been a great combo, but no one's looking at Delena. Valentina's in trouble. They're trying to bait out the lamps and not even having the opportunity. At least Scatter helps him out with the bubble. Finds Self, puts down the recall with the team up of the Rocket, and Delena going back up. Cannot get away! Daze claps back, and so does Valentina. And now with the Ranger Royal Flush, Swamp Gaming are settling back on this defense. Overtime ticking away in favor for Swamp Gaming and this defense right before the third checkpoint.
There we have it. Swamp Gaming will hold at 2 and almost a third and final one for 100 Thieves. But they went quite the distance if you consider how they were being held back initially by Swamp Gaming. I think 100 Thieves will be happy with how far they were able to get in the end. Real question is, can SG do one better, get that third point, and will secure them not only the win in this series, but of course a spot in mid-season finals as well. The Blade test, though. How do we feel about Blade in the end? Do you think it worked out for Swamp Gaming? Certainly there was some times where it definitely played a part.
I feel like if you're going to expect a triple Vanguard, right, and you want to take a page out of the Wolverine book just in a different form as the Daywalker, I feel like it could go a little bit better here on the attack. It was pretty difficult when it came to mistiming some of the combos that you wanted to take advantage of, like we saw from the very beginning before that first checkpoint. So maybe just trying to time in and align those ults will help out Daze a lot better. I think the repositioning and splitting the focus was another necessary thing that Daze was doing when it came to also taking down the Sia from 100 Thieves.
And I also wonder if it's a little bit of mind games. You know, they bring out the Blade and you say to 100 Thieves, all right, well, if you do now take the triple Vanguard, triple strat, we're going to be ready for you. So are they trying to put it into play in the previous round to say, you know, maybe you don't play it and get in their heads? Alas, 100 Thieves are going to stick with the 3-3 approach.
3, 2.
And look at Daze. Immediately, we saw a glimpse of that Daredevil, goes right over to the Blade. Valentina taking a huge chunk of damage already, but that's fine. Feeds into Forky Dog and that Raging Royal Flush. Mello still sticking to that Punisher, split some more of that attention, expecting 100 Thieves worth their famous hold on defense on the 3-3. So, trying to get it contested by Daze, who's going to be able to reposition just as quickly, but it's just about splitting the attention of these Vanguards.
Yeah, able to get a lot of damage onto Vinny. He's going to have to pull out the shield to keep himself alive. You can see Lamps going down now as well as Daze continues to harass all of these Vanguards. They are continuing to push the cart, but 100 Thieves now get to the point where they can stop it with the 3-3. TTK takes a lot of damage as Mello also trying to apply that focus with the shotgun to punish it.
Even bigger, just breaking down through these shields, enable Daze to follow up off these antis. Sure, the BRB does bring back TTK, by the way. Nice little push off here as Forky Dog and Valentina are nearing the copy, as well as a Rager Royal Flush of another anti, though. You get the chain CC on having an antis available time and time again, and it's allowing Swamp Gaming to fully capitalize.
Man, TTK must be so annoyed. Every time he switches hero, Scatter's like, oh, you're going to play that? All right, I'll mirror it. And then I'm just going to make your life a living hell as the portal is going to come through from 100 Thieves now just to stop this point where it stands with the switch over from Self onto the Doctor Strange. But look at the aggression from Swamp Gaming to force them back as Raging Royal Flush is now coming out.
Oh, they hit the ante onto Millennia, but there's no follow-ups, and now you try to fully extend on the final judgment from Mello. They got to keep him up. You had the Raging Royal Flush originally. Forky Dog now to try to hold on to this one when they hear the Born again. Hold on to the trigger, because now you have the Raging Royal Flush from Forky Dog. They're ready this time, and Daze goes in for the follow-up off the blade. Oh, doesn't go as hard as it needed to, though, because you have the Silent Seduction now coming in from Scatter to try to match out after TTK was done, and over to the sidelines. As a makeshift bandit after banning out the Wolverine, the blade is here to stay.
And the blade is doing work from Daze as 100 Thieves, 5 of them fall. They actually fell twice. The Karmic Revival came out, but was not enough to stabilize for them. And now they will not have the option for a portal. Is anyone going to be there to touch? There's going to be a small delay there from Delena, but I don't think it's going to help out. They are going to get the first point here, Swamp Gaming. They're going to have 4 minutes 15 going into this second route through. 100 Thieves on the back foot.
Man, Swamp Gaming is cooking with this blade turnaround. Again, it's just very similar to your game plan on what you want to look for when you have the Wolverine activated, right? But since it's banned out here, it's just in a different form as Vinny being over here on the rogue, changing off of that 3-3 that we saw before. Self being on the Daredevil, while Vinny is roundhouse kicking the competition before dropping on their heads with the Heartbreaker, taking everything. But a huge antique, and the follow come in right afterwards. Brute Wall following up too from Kraz, but a great way just to stave off a lot of that damage.
And the Brute Wall almost was perfect as now Raging Royal Flush comes through from the God of Mischief, and that means it's go time for Swamp Gaming to try off the back of it to get some damage and take down some of this backline. They do find the KO onto TTK. Self goes down as well. Even with the BRB, SG are still forcing this car here. And 100 Thieves, sadly, just haven't really been able to get their footing since they lost a couple of those fights.
It's looking like the momentum is all flowing for Swamp Gaming. Let's not forget, they don't even need to get to the third checkpoint, but look who's behind them. It's going to be Self, it looks like, from their backline, who can let the devil out. The rest of Swamp Gaming trying to control this space, moving up ahead. Gets the anti out the TTK. Vinny's right there as the backup, the bouncer to force him away. Beautiful place shield as you have the final judgment coming in from Mello, just trying to hold them back. Find Scatter as he's going to be able to find Self, and now Self has not been able to let the devil out a single time. Another big anti. Oh my goodness! I saw that Tia for a total of 2 seconds. It did not even get to see the light of day. Swamp Gaming! They are feeling themselves, and they are feeling this series.
They said, see ya to the see ya. Mello popping final judgment at the perfect time on the Punisher. Most importantly, ripping Self out of the lobby, because Self was ready to let the devil out and be the difference maker on that backline off the back of the Psionic Seduction. So it is going to be an initial portal here from 100 Thieves. Take advantage of that strange portal they now have up.
Important here to also try to block them out and get some extra cover of the portal positioning. Big ante as a Raging Royal Flush is met from both sides. It's going to be Delena with the Galactic Legend, but a beautiful counter on the Sound of Seduction. Delena was right outside the range, and they waste more than enough time as Scatter shows that they've got hands in the diamond form. Next victim with the choke slam and roundhouse kick as the Emma is singing in their ears, and one by one, 100 Thieves have yet to restabilize.
SG, they're on the final march. Could this be the victory parade for this series now, or do 100 Thieves just have one last thing up their sleeves? It's 3 minutes they have to try and hold here, Vicky. This is going to be so tough. Because even if SG lose this next engagement, right, they're going to get so much ult economy build up through this next one. And then they should be able to use it, but instead, you can now see God of Mischief up there for Valentina, and it will be used. So SG's just being aggressive now.
And what does 100 Thieves really have to deal with this? Because Vinny was very close to the Heartbreaker. I mean, you gotta try to like tilt that away from Forky Dog. You dive down on top of their heads, but then gets met with a big anti and a stun to top it off. Kraz was ready to be the finishing blow. Sure, you get that BRB, but 100 Thieves have nothing in the arsenal. Desperate attempts off the Wolverine, trying to eye Kraz, who's got the strangling prison, trying to bring everybody into the line of sight. But it's Miday's first, and nobody left on the point. You get the cleanup, but you do not have the numbers from 100 Thieves, as right now, Swamp Gaming take it to the finish line and take the whole series.
Swamp Gaming will be heading to mid-season finals, and they will also be heading to the upper bracket final with a matchup against TLC. The one we all expected, to be honest. But after that game, the first two matches really here from 100 Thieves, it did leave us wondering, could we see 100 Thieves upsetting Swamp Gaming? But we do see SG clutching up when they needed to in the end. And it came out from an interesting decision in terms of their hero selection here, bringing out the Blade, which was what seemed the perfect way to counteract the 3-3 here, Vicky.
They won every single fight on that attack. Like, I was talking about it too, right? Like, usually you would see that when you expect a triple Vanguard hold, when they were the ones now rolling out on the attack, that was going to be a lot more successful. They were able to finally close that out, and a great display of that flexibility to see you could ban out the Wolf, but you cannot ban out this Blade. A double-edged sword here, as 100 Thieves do fall down to that lower bracket, but we do get to welcome Swamp Gaming not only into LAN, but moving on into the top 3.
Yeah, you can't ban out Daze, is what I'm learning as well. It just seems like his hero pool unbelievably deep and just go for absolutely everything in terms of selection, and just made life a living nightmare, really, for 100 Thieves. We do have to say, hats off to them. It was a fantastic effort. I think that some people would have looked at that matchup and thought it was going to be a simple 3-0. It was everything but in the end. As, oh, look at that. Another MVP for Valentina, who was perfect once more on the Loki.
She be farming those. She farms them like it's no tomorrow, just in a different iteration. If it's not the Gambit, it's the Loki instead. And it's difficult too when, your opponents can't even take down your lamps. You have Scatter just going crazy on the Emma, and then you're here to follow up with a Raging Royal Flush. And they had that timed so well, Gaskin, when it came to staggering those strategist ultimates, even to the very end, landing those antis were the nail in the coffin to stop the rogue attempts from 100 Thieves.
So it doesn't really matter where you take Swamp Gaming. It seems like they have a strategy employed similarly to what we saw from TLC, right? But the one thing that will matter going into the upper bracket finals is TLC remain unbeaten, whereas Swamp Gaming did show that there can be weaknesses. They can drop maps in the end. They will sadly not actually find an unbeaten run to the upper bracket finals like their counterparts. That being said, they still look fantastic here, Vicky, and I'm very excited for that matchup when it does happen. And maybe, who knows, we might get that matchup happening at LAN as well, with both of these teams now qualified for mid-season finals. But we still have to find one more team to get there, of course, and all of these teams now in this lower bracket are going to have to battle against one another to try and get to that third place position and put themselves into mid-season finals as well. As we take a look back at some of the highlights, especially from Days on Blade, it was nice to see something a little bit different here, Vicky.
I can just imagine just hearing Fox's words just ringing through my ears. Like, man, Wolf, all right, we can just go Blade instead, right? Just literally putting a stake to their run with a left field pick here is no surprise, as Days was also able to get enabled together with Kraz and those amazing walls. It put a dent to how 100 Thieves, do they focus on the lamps? Do they have to take out these walls instead? The Psionic Seduction from Scatter, who put on a masterclass on the Emma too. It's so difficult. Again, we take a look at the two titans, the two heads of the Americas region now who have progressed through this winter side of the bracket, and it's still showcasing that flexibility. You said see ya to the see ya. That was a last final ditch attempt to try to deal and regain control over the defensive side before that second checkpoint, and Mello had other words with these awesome highlights.
Yeah, it was also great to see Mello on that Punisher, right? Because it displays how to play Punisher correctly, not always just putting all your damage into Vanguards, which happens so often in ranked games, instead focusing on the correct targets. And sometimes those targets are inanimate objects that you have to remove to help the rest of your team. Whether that's going to be squids from Namor, whether it's going to be walls from Groot, it doesn't matter. You just need to take them out and help the team when you literally have one of the best pieces of equipment to do so. As we now look at the stats as well from this last game. Midtown was a fun one, but sadly for 100 Thieves, it was not the correct answer to try and take down Swamp.
What happens when you gotta deal with the Days on the other hand if it's not the Wolverine, man? It's so crazy. We have to just repeat it. I hope we do get to talk to Days in the interview, but then you look on the other side of things and just the fact that 100 Thieves just could not get themselves together once they lost that first initial fight. It was a snowball, but they do have a lot of information to go back on. They still were able to take map number 2 on Museum of Contemplation, which is good looks for a lot of these teams who now find themselves in that lower bracket, being able to make those readjustments because they are only getting better, but better.
Yeah, that lower bracket is going to be interesting. Of course, we have the lower bracket round 1 matches that are going to happen after these two that we've just been able to witness. Shib and Cozy are going to come in to cast those for us, Vicky, and I just think it's almost impossible to call what is going to happen in that lower bracket. But speaking of calling, we have called someone on the line. We have Days who's going to join us for an interview. It is going to be the Blade himself. Days, I have to ask you about it. You bring the Blade out, which was very unique. Talk me through that strategy and the discussion around taking Blade into that matchup.
Yeah, typically we would just run Wolverine in these front-to-back kind of convoy maps, and so whenever Wolverine ever gets banned, we need to find like another substitute, and Blade fits right there. I mean, he has a really good front-to-back with his anti, and also just like a good side control with his gun. I think, and my playstyle as well, I think it really fits our I guess what we're really going for with these comps.
Man, I love watching you play, dude. Like, you guys were just playing another sport with the fastball special. We were talking about you being the bowling ball and hitting the strike time and time again. I mean, talk to the viewers a little bit about how you actually work that Blade, kind of digest it for the rest of the viewers who want to try to implement something similar within their own games.
It's really player dependent. Like I'm not gonna lie, it requires a lot of sauce, and especially whenever you're ever against like a team like 100 Trash, it's like super easy. I can't lie. I don't know. Today was honestly like the worst I've ever played, and 100 Trash still just couldn't really pull through, even though I was just a non-factor in any game. Now regarding the fastball, 100 Trash just really can't do anything about it. They just always have to ban the Wolverine on convoys and stuff, really it's just about like the purpose of what you want to do with the throw from the Wolverine. Do you want to like go back line, or do you want to like really just int on tanks and try and blow up Groot or whatever? It's just about finding a purpose with set cooldown and coming in together as a team.
Like the new nickname for
Unfortunately,
100 Thieves
100
as well.
Trash couldn't do
That one might
today.
stick. Yeah, there we go. There it is again. Firstly, congratulations on making upper bracket finals. Secondly, congratulations on making mid-season finals. But my final question for you, 2 of you have already qualified for mid-season finals. There is still 1 spot remaining, and we have a long lower bracket to go through now. Who do you think takes that 3rd spot in mid-season finals from Americas?
I can tell you it's not 100 Trash. It's definitely FlyQuest.
That's all I need to know. FlyQuest, that's what we like to hear. Days, thank you so much for the fighting words. You were incredible today, and I can't wait to watch you at mid-season finals and, of course, in the upper bracket final. Take care. Thank you.
Bye, Days.
All right. Well, it seems like he thinks 100 Thieves are trash, apparently. And you know what? Fighting words. This is what we want to see. Now, Vicky, I kind of want to see 100 Thieves make LAN so that we can get a little bit more of this. But remember, there is still playoffs to play, and there is still a chance Swamp Gaming might drop down into that elimination bracket and might have to play a team like 100 Thieves again. So there is definitely still potential for some rematches here.
Yeah, you know what? And also the win record continues, right? They when I talked to Melo saying himself, like, you know what? Every time you cast our matches, we have 100% win rate. Well, you know what? Aside from that grand finals, like you mentioned, being able to not cover that, we continue on with the blessing. It seems like I liked Days' energy, the way that this entire team feels so meshed together. But not only just that, like they're just genuine friends that now they get to bounce off of each other. Now look back at those VODs.